What's up, guys? Welcome to the Cockpit. I'll be your co-pilot or your pilot today. I am Jets Talk 24/7. Good to have you guys. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Cockpit. Alright, checking the audio. Audio looks good. Today's beer of choice. I got a Turbo Dog. Kind of interesting, I guess. Never had it before. I think we're going to work this the same way we did last time. We'll start call-ins around 8:30, so we'll do all the, live chat for the first half hour. Kind of screw around. What do you guys think? How's the audio on this? Show me some feedback. You guys like a little bit of music in the background? Should I turn it off? Have I ever said the N-word? Absolutely not. It's not a good thing to do. Can't do that. Hey, Just Talk. What's up? All right. So lots of rumors going on in the NFL. The NFL owners are down meeting in, I believe it's Phoenix or Arizona, somewhere down there. Phoenix is in Arizona. And they're discussing new rules. So the rules that I think are interesting as far as that goes. Let's see, they're talking about a new kickoff rule. Music is a little louder than your voice. Whoop, music off. Got it. All right. Boom, music done. Rules I like to see put in place. One they're talking about is the kickoff rule for onside kicks. Now, with the onside kick rule, I think you can, there's restrictions on it. You can only do it in like the fourth quarter. I think it might be only if you're down by 17. But it would basically eliminate the need for the onside kick that we've all come to kind of know. In the past, I believe the onside kick success rate was about 20%, and that has shrunk down to, I think it's like 7% or something like that. It's really low. It's a lot lower than it was the last few years. Now, if this increases the chance of a successful onside kick, I'm all for it. I also think it's kind of exciting. So for those of you that don't know, it would basically be a 4th and 15 play from the, I believe it's 30-yard line or 35-yard line. And you have to basically get it to the 50-yard line to continue the drive. So you basically get a first down, you just continue that play. If you were to fail the 4th down and 15 attempt, you would get turnover on downs, and the other team would take over on that yard line. The reason why I believe this should happen, and I think it will happen, one, kickoffs, the onside kick is just, basically if you get a lead, you can't get the onside kick. 8% is just such a small percentage to try and accurately get. And then you talk about excitement, right? Offense has been exciting. Special teams of recent years is not as exciting as it once was. The other side of this is player safety. So with an onside kick, regardless of if you're getting that running start or not, you're still colliding head on at a pretty, fast pace. I mean, not like it once was when you used to get the running start for the kickoff, but having the offensive play, the players are kind of like moving in the same direction outside of like the offensive lineman and maybe some linebackers blitzing. So I think they can spin it in a player safety sort of realm. But the AAF actually does this. And the excitement level around it has actually been pretty good. The competition committee for the NFL is actually really excited about this rule, and I think the owners are more likely to listen to that type of realm if they know it'll help their business model. So I think it's something that could absolutely get done. Let's see. What's the other rule? There was another one that they were kind of looking at, and I'll have to look it up. If any of you guys know the other rule. drop a comment. But as far as, other thing that goes on, other things that are going on, Gronk retires, obviously a big move or big event within the division. I think having the ability to not have to cover and account for such a massive tight end, and you guys know how I feel if you watch my Gronk video. I really like Gronk. I think he's one of the most dominant tight ends to ever play the game. What beer am I drinking tonight? Oh, that would be the Turbo Dog. Turbo Dog. It's a puppy on it. Kind of cool. Different. Never had it before. So Gronk retires. I think now that you look towards Edelman as being the top weapon on that team, I predicted in my mock draft that Noah Fant would go to the Patriots at 32, and I'm going to stand by that. I would even be so bold as to say they might trade up, or they can consider taking a wide receiver if they wanted to go a different route, maybe not tight end. But they need another weapon on that team. I think having just Gronkowski, or having Gronkowski and having Edelman, kind of spoiled them. The amount of attention that Gronk required opened everything up for Edelman. So I think they're going to need some type of response to losing him. I do think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I saw an argument on NFL Network today that they were talking about, there's a lot of guys that are coming up, and they're like, wow, when this guy retires, like Adrian Peterson retires, oh, well, he was so great, he's going to get into the Hall of Fame. Or Big Ben when he retires, or Brady when he retires. And you just start talking about all these guys that had long careers that could go into the Hall of Fame, and is the Hall of Fame watered down, especially with a backlog of good players from previous years. Now, I'm a Giants fan, please don't murder me. Nah, I like you. You can stay. I like the Giants to an extent, except for when they play the Jets. But it does warm my heart to watch them kind of burn and hopefully not have a quarterback for a while. And then we're talking, Darron Lee trade possibly. There's a lot of rumors swirling that because of Mosley coming in and Avery Williamson sliding over to that other role, that the Jets have made Darron Lee expendable, and he's not in their long-term, plans for the team. I'm okay with that. I don't think he's going to fetch us a whole lot. I think we'll get a fourth rounder at best for him. I think if that were me and we had that kind of, return on our investment, I don't know if I would do it. I actually like Darron Lee. I think he should. That's a dark lager for sure. Yeah. Usually a Belgian wheat kind of guy, but wit. Going with the brown ale today. But Darron Lee, I think he's only owed like $2 million. So having him on the cheap deal for at least this year, and then he would be on his fifth-year option after this. So we wouldn't obviously extend him on that. But if they think he's definitely not worth the fifth-year option, then the likelihood is someone would not trade for him after the season. So with Darron Lee going into that final year, basically, assuming no one wants to pay him that fifth-year option, I think it's a smart move to try and move on from him if you're not going to keep him. I would have liked to have seen him in the kind of Anthony Barr-esque role. I think his speed is something that we could have utilized. I would have liked to have seen him under Greg Williams, but if Greg Williams feels like he's not the type of player he wants in his defense, I can't really go against him. He knows a little bit more than I do. As far as other news, Josh Allen. There's rumors that Josh Allen is going number 3 to the Jets. There's people talking about it at the NFL owners meetings, as well as some talk in the combines. And obviously after the way the free agency period went, the Jets not getting a pass rusher, you could definitely argue that Josh Allen would fill a need more than potentially Quinnen Williams and might be a better fit than Nick Bosa. Now, I don't know how much I buy that. I think I don't know. No, I do buy that more. Forgive me. I think it's very similar to the attempted or the conundrum that we had in 2015, right? Leonard Williams, top defensive tackle on the board. We have players that are going to be up for contract, i.e. Sheldon Richardson, Muhammad Wilkerson, on our roster. We decided to opt and take the best player on the board as opposed to taking Vic Beasley that would have satisfied a need and probably would have complemented our team a little bit better than Leonard Williams would have. Now, I'm okay with taking the opposite approach with this and going with Josh Allen. instead of Vic Beasley. Leonard Williams is likely, he's going into the final year of his deal, and if we take Quinnen Williams, more than likely we let Leonard Williams walk. At least if we take Josh Allen or Nick Bosa, the potential of keeping someone like Leonard Williams is a little bit higher because he fills a need that we wouldn't currently have. Quinnen Williams would obviously kind of push him out, but that's not to be said that we wouldn't re-sign Leo if we got Quinnen Williams. I think we definitely could. We have plenty of cap space. I think we have $30 million left right now, and I think we have $55 million for next year. So depending on how much we're allowed to roll over, I mean, we're going to have a ton of cap. So next year we shouldn't worry about cap space. So in the event that they wanted to franchise tag Leonard Williams, which I don't believe would be a smart move because that number would be absolutely bananas, I think there is, the thought that could happen. Now, with Josh Allen, I like his production. He's in the SEC, so he's in the hardest conference in the country. And he has good production. He has, I think it's, 35 sacks or something like that in his career. He was super healthy, so that's another factor. When you look at Bosa's injury history is a little shaky. I think with Quinnen Williams, it's a different position, so you may not compare him necessarily to Josh Allen, but Quinnen Williams really only had 1.5 good years, and he didn't show up in the national championship game or the game against LSU? Whatever it was. There's one knock that people kind of have on him. I have to go back and study for finals. Have a good night. Yeah, Mr. Cozy, good luck on your finals. You study up. Don't drink too much. But having Josh Allen in the fold would be something special that we haven't had in a long time. My concern with him is the amount of times I saw him running free at the quarterback. Now, maybe that speed is going to translate into the NFL and he'll be able to run around the left tackles that have a little more speed than the guys in college. I know the SEC is a dominant conference and you do see some good tackles come out of there, so there's, he is producing against top-level college talent. But I would like to have seen him use a little bit more finesse, like maybe a swim move, a bull rush, spin move, something like that, just to show a little bit of variety. Now, that said, if he can, run around the corner and he gets to the quarterback, I don't really care how he does it. It did feel like he ran free a lot, so I'm a little concerned if that scheme possibly allowed him to run more at the quarterback using a stunt as opposed to bowling over his offensive lineman. I think with Bosa and Quinnen Williams, you watch these guys quickly get to the quarterback, where Allen kind of quickly runs around and then does get to the quarterback. Not saying that's slow, but I feel like the other two will go through a player as well as being fast, where Allen may not go through the player but is fast to get there. That's just the one concern I have. Obviously, I think those are the top 3 players, and if you're sitting at 3, you got to take one of them, obviously. I don't know if there is a right or wrong answer to this. If we'd gotten Houston, I think I would have lent more towards Quinnen Williams. Now that we don't have a pass rusher, I think Bosa is still number 1 for me, and then I think it probably falls down to Allen. So either way, I'm good with it. Let me know what you guys think. Let's start asking some questions. Go in the comment section. I'll try and see. Let's see what we got here. Unpopular opinion: trade Leonard and Robbie and our 3rd to the Raiders, 4th pick, and get Quinnen and Josh Allen. That's not going to happen. That doesn't make any sense. Because why would the Raiders want Leonard Williams and pay him a massive deal when they can sit at 4 and likely take Quinnen Williams or Josh Allen to replace Khalil Mack, who they didn't want to pay a ton of money to? So more than likely, I don't believe that is a good opinion. I'm sorry, Joseph. I do think there's some interest there. Like, Robbie has value because he's cheap right now. But they also just brought in Brown and Tyrell Williams. So I don't know if Robbie really falls into that realm of, teams wanting him. Let's see. How do we address center? I think, watching over in the UK, what's up, dude, Matt? All right, how do we address center? Stuart wants to know how we address the center. I have a hunch that the Jets are comfortable with Jonathan Harrison starting at center. I think they saw enough from him last year that they are comfortable. In the worst case scenario, they let him be that center. They might have some competition with some other guys on the roster. Maybe there's, someone rises to the top. But obviously, I think if we trade down, if we were to trade, say, with the Giants, like say somehow that trade works out, there is rumors that Mac has a trade in his back pocket, and rumors are that that's what the Giants. I don't know if that's actually true or not. The Giants haven't traded with the Jets in like 30 years. So maybe that's not something that we actually see. But if that were true and we got, say, 17, I would take the top center in the draft at 17, I think. Even though he's probably a late first-round option, at 6, I would take whatever pass rusher is available. Realistically, say 2 quarterbacks go in the top 6. So there's 4 players. So that means Bosa, Allen, and Quinnen Williams could all be gone. So who's that 6th player, or I guess 4th player that could be on our board that we would want? Now that's an interesting question to me if that's what winds up happening, because I don't necessarily know who I take. I might consider taking one of the offensive linemen at that point, and I don't particularly like the offensive lineman that high. I think I'd prefer a stud defensive player, but getting more picks is more attractive. And I guess if you're taking the center at 17, maybe you take the top wide receiver, and all of a sudden you throw a wrench into the offense like that. That could be something that's interesting. I think center more than likely will be addressed in the 3rd round with those 3rd round picks. Possibly they trade up using 2 of the 3rd round picks and make a move to get someone who's falling. I don't know who that would be. Bradbury's the only one that I've really done research on. I should probably dive into more of the later round prospects to see if I like them. I'd rather stay at 3 instead of trading down. And that's kind of where I fall. I mean, there's rumors of the Redskins possibly trading up and trying to jump the Giants. If that's the case, this is very much like the Colts position that the Jets and Bills were in last year. So if the Jets become what last year's Colts were, then you have division rivals bidding over the same spot and fearful that the division rival is going to get their future franchise quarterback. If the Redskins wanted to jump in front of the Giants, the Jets would be falling back real far. We're talking, 3 to 15. So you're talking 1st, 2nd, 3rd round picks, and at least a 1st round pick next year. And I don't believe the Redskins are going to be very good this year, so that could be a top 10 pick in a quarterback-heavy draft that could make things really interesting in next year's draft if the Jets wanted to trade down again. I would be cool with that. I think that's something that the Jets should look into. I don't know if they actually will. Consider it, since they do need a pass rusher, and if you fall back to 15, I don't think you're getting a pass rusher. I think, maybe you take the center, you take a wide receiver or something, but then you have a 2nd round pick that's relatively high. I mean, it's a mid-2nd round pick. So then maybe you take a center there. There's a lot of interesting things that could really happen with the whole Jets situation and trading down out of that number 3 pick. Let's see. Would you be okay with the Keys? Would you be okay with the Jets getting Dez? I think that's what you're trying to say, right? Keys, Jets. I would be okay with it. I don't think Dez is someone you sign until training camp, though, because didn't he tear his Achilles or an ACL or something like that? Something serious really happened to him, and he shouldn't be back for close to a year. And I want to say it was, week 10 that happened? It was somewhere towards the middle, late end of the year. And if that were the case, he's not going to be ready till training camp. I was high on Dez last year. I drafted him in my fantasy league in the final round of my draft because I knew someone would sign him at some point, and if I were to be doing poorly and Dez came in late in the season to the Saints and played really well, I'd get that shot in the arm right before the playoff push. Now, the issue with that is, unfortunately, he got hurt, so it didn't really help me. But, the final round of your fantasy draft really isn't the worst time to take a roll of the dice. Kind of like a Josh Gordon, if for somehow he was reinstated, maybe he's someone you look at. Kareem Hunt is someone you look at late in the draft. Maybe not even that late. I mean, he could be jumping in, suspended 8 games. So maybe someone takes him a little bit higher knowing they're going to get him back and thinking they can get maybe a pseudo steal. Like maybe you take him in like the 4th or 5th round. Let's see. What else we got in the comment section? Thoughts on Simeon? think he's a backup. I think he'll help Darnold install the offense because I believe Gase and Simeon worked together in Denver, and I think that is a very good thing. I think helping the young quarterback learn from his previous mistakes or learn from, just the terminology of the offense is something that could really help Darnold. I don't know if Simeon makes the opening day roster or if Davis Webb does. I think we're only going to carry two quarterbacks. I think it's going to be, Darnold and one backup. I'd be surprised if we carried three. I think we're going to wind up taking, maybe an extra offensive lineman or an extra pass rusher in some capacity, hopefully grow that arsenal a little bit. Rumors are saying we don't have a second round pick. I know we don't have a second round pick. Cooper, you were not listening. I said if we traded down with the Washington Redskins and we got first like a 1, 2, 3, and a 1 next year, we would have a second round pick. So that's what I'm talking about. Oh, or you were replying to hashtag sports is in the building. What's up, dude? McCoy in the second round, center for the Jets. I do like that. If the Jets do get a second round pick, I think that is a good option for sure. I think they need to address center. I'm pretty bummed that the Bills got Morse. I really wanted him. And then I guess Paradis, we were just afraid of the injury. So, whatever. Jets know more than I do, I guess. Did McCown retire? I don't believe he's actually officially retired. I think the Jets are kind of hedging their bets with him. They'd be happy to get him back at the right price, but I think more than likely he'll get some type of coaching position. If it's not this year, maybe next year. I think Darnold and McCown are pretty close, and I think keeping him around would, help keep Darnold's head level. Not that I think he would get, too not hot-headed, but too, head in the clouds. R.I.P. Pound Town McCown. What is up, Huey? Do I think Ziggy is a viable option? Ziggy Ansah. I would be okay with bringing in Ziggy. I think there's questions about his health. I think that's why he hasn't signed yet. And with so many pass rushers in the top of the draft, I could see Ziggy waiting till after the draft or just taking a deal that's a little bit lower for a team that's like, hey, we're going to give you this, sign it now, or you might not get a good deal after the draft because all their teams will have a pass rusher. This is a very deep pass rusher draft. Love the hat, man. Vertigo Flow. I love you, man. Or woman. Could be one. 0.5% of you guys are women, according to Google Analytics. So I guess I could roll the dice and say that. What else we got? How come Quinnen Williams dropped so much on the Jets fans' draft board? I don't think Quinnen Williams did. I mean, as far as fans wanting certain things, I think he fell because we didn't get Houston, because we didn't get a pass rusher. I think he would have been top on our list had we gotten a pass rusher in free agency. Now, having said that, since we did not, I am cool with Josh Allen. I think we tried the option in 2015 where we went with Leonard Williams instead of Vic Beasley. If the Jets decide they want to flip that and try the opposite, I am totally cool with that. I think drafting for a need, especially when you're kind of splitting hairs at the top of the draft, it's really one pick. It's not, or one player, like top. You consider those guys the top three, so you're really, if the choice is between those two players, I'm okay with it. Take the need. I think having Jets Talk, you're awesome. Brian B, you're awesome. How about Sue? I don't think Sue is going to be an option for us. We flirted with him last year, but I think the Jets are okay staying away from him. I think they're happy with, Anderson and McClendon and all those guys, but I think they would bring in Quinnen Williams if they, if that's the choice they make instead of Allen. It's hard to believe anything you hear these days or this time of year because it's leading up to the draft, so a lot of people are talking about, misinformation. And we heard reports the other day of the Giants not being interested in Dwayne Haskins, but then all of a sudden, like 2 days later or whatever, it comes out that they love Dwayne Haskins. So they're throwing all kinds of smoke. I don't know that I don't know if the Giants are going to trade up for Haskins. I think they are either trying to force the Redskins to give up a haul and trade up to get Haskins, and that would hurt the Redskins possibly. Or they're saying that they don't like him because they want him to fall, or they do like him because they like a different prospect. There's so much misinformation there. Robbie first, second, unpopular opinion. It depends on the second, because I don't think we have many weapons, and to lose Robbie when Darnold is so young feels like a mistake without having someone in place. Now, if we were to sign, maybe we trade for another receiver, or we trade down in the first and take a receiver and then trade Robbie, I would be okay with that. I think that's a fair argument to have. I don't like just losing Robbie for, say, a late second round pick. I think that would be a mistake for us. I definitely don't want to see that happen. What if the Cardinals don't even draft Murray? Well, that will be interesting, because I think we're either in the same position that we currently are, or a better one. Because if, let's say, the Cardinals take either Bosa or Quinnen Williams, I don't believe they would take Josh Allen at number one. I think it's Bosa or Williams. Now, if that's the case, I think the 49ers would probably take the other, whether it be Bosa or Quinnen Williams. I think they're going to take defense at the top of the draft. I don't know if they're really entertaining a trade down. I mean, I guess if you blew the doors off of them, that would be something they'd consider. But I think if those two guys go, then the Jets are sitting at 3 with the top quarterback on the board. And all of a sudden, that could be a very valuable pick for the Jets. Do you take Josh Allen or do you trade down? Now, there's a situation, I think, where if the Raiders really wanted, say, Kyler Murray, and they wanted to trade 3 for 4, and maybe they just gave us either a late first or second round pick or whatever it is, just to fall back one pick and not take an offer from, say, the Giants or maybe the Redskins where they're given a ton of picks, then that allows the Jets to fall back one pick, take Josh Allen, the player that they would have taken at 3, or whatever that top 3 defender is. I think that's an interesting scenario. Now, I think it's 17 of the last 18 drafts, a quarterback has been selected in the top 3. With that knowledge, the only draft outside of that was the Geno draft, where E.J. Manuel went, I think, 15 or 16 or something like that. Having the quarterback go in the top 3, it allows the Jets to get one of the top 2 non-quarterbacks or trade down. That's the kind of hedging of the bets. Don't trade Robbie. I just got his jersey. Oh, ouch. That's pretty not rough. I think he'll stay with the Jets. I don't think the Jets are going to get rid of him. I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe they're fed up with him, but I think he played reasonably well last year, and I think he can only get better with Darnold getting more time in the pocket. All right, 8:30. I guess I'll open it up to some calls. Let me just open up Google Voice here. See what we got going on. What is this? Oh, my volume was real low. Okay. You guys are going to have to let me know if these calls are coming in clear or if they are too loud. So phone lines are open if you do want to call in. If not, I'll just keep talking about the comments down there. And Enwa has to bulk to 240. Become a tight end slot. It makes the most sense. I think he's pretty good at whatever weight he's currently playing at. Now, he's able to play all 3 of the wide position roles. The X, the Y, and the slot. Or X, Y, and Z. Whatever that fucking combo is. All right. Who we got first?
Call from.
Joseph.
To accept, press 1.
Welcome to the Cockpit. What's up?
Holy crap, I actually got on.
I apologize. When people call in, if I'm talking to someone on the phone, it gets bounced right to my voicemail. And I think I get about 30 voicemails every time I do one of these things. I feel bad I don't get to everyone. But yeah. I'm glad to have you on. Where are you calling from?
Yeah. Cedar Park, Texas.
Oh, wow. We got someone from Texas. Cool. What can I answer for you? What can I answer for you?
I think it's just a draft that really interests me. I don't know if the Cards are going to take Kyler Murray number 1, and I think if they go for Bosa, and I don't know if they're going to have. I don't know if the 49ers are going to split on Bosa or Allen. I really, really want Allen, mostly for the Josh, mostly for the Josh Allen, sacks Josh Allen.
I think that's going to be a very interesting headline. That'll probably be the like back of the post kind of picture for the New York Post. Yeah, I don't know. If they don't take Murray at 1, it makes things a lot more interesting. Now, if they don't take him at 1, are you looking to trade down at 3? Or would you sit there and take possibly the third best defensive player, assuming the 49ers take either Quinnen Williams or Josh Allen, or, you know?
I think I'd have to take Josh Allen at 3.
Okay, I think that's
fair.
fair.
The trade down for me, it feels like, you know, holy crap, we just missed this guy and we couldn't. I don't want the hashtag same old Jets. That would be really, really stupid.
I agree. Yeah, I think the Jets haven't had a pass rusher since John Abraham in 2005, I guess, and then we traded him. Got the offensive lineman, of course, Brick and Mangold. I think there's something we haven't. Whoa, Patrick Whalen, thank you for subscribing. Boom, welcome to the channel. I think Josh Allen would be a very good change of pace for the Jets. We haven't tried this route, and I'm 100% behind it if that's the decision they make. I think I'd be splitting hairs if I were to say I didn't really like Josh Allen that much. But I do think Williams and Bosa are on a totally different level. When I watch those guys play, you see them just get to the quarterback so fast through their defender. With Allen, he kind of runs around him, which is fine as long as he can do it in the NFL level. And as long as, you know, I think all his metrics measure out really well. I was watching a video on him and how his grade is very good in terms of, I guess, his speed, everything like that is right in line with where all pros and Pro Bowlers usually line up or stack up, I guess. So I guess since he checks those boxes, I would be okay with it. That's just my one concern is the potential lack of pass rush moves. Ethan King, welcome to the channel. Anything else I can answer, Freed? He must not have wanted to talk to me. Whatever. Can you guys hear these calls? Is that did that come in well? Let's see. Do you think Williams can compare to Aaron Donald? I do. I really do. I think if you haven't seen Sebastian Giggy, I wish I said Giggly, but then welcome to the channel. Do I think Williams will compare to Aaron Donald? I do think he does. I think he compares to him very favorably. Now, all the metrics match up. When you watch him on tape, he uses his hands and feet the same way. If you haven't seen the Brett Coleman video on Quinnen Williams, go over and look at it and just kind of watch. Yes, we can hear the calls. All right, cool. I don't know how long the delay is on this. I should probably test this. New caller.
Call from
Wait, Mossman.
What's up, dude? Welcome to the Cockpit.
Hello, what's up?
Where are you calling from?
Long Island.
Nice. What can I answer for you?
Do you want to, let's say if the Cardinals don't pick up and get Murray, would you say, we trade down if, say, the Giants gave up, a first and second round pick?
I think the Jets would move down I think the Jets would try to require that 6th pick and the 17th pick. I think the Jets would really try to get that because they'd be missing out on one of the top 3 defenders if they were to trade down. And I think they're going to try and use that to their advantage. Now, I would be all for moving down if we got a slew of picks. But if they think Allen or Bosa or Quinnen Williams is absolutely the difference maker to our defense, GV Reflex, welcome to the channel. If they think they are the difference maker that's going to put this defense over the top and really solidify it, then I'm okay with that decision. I don't think there's an offensive player that high that I'd be looking at. And if you fall back to 6, I don't know who you take. I don't think you take Ed Oliver. Maybe you look at one of the other pass rushers like a Rashawn Gary or a Cleveland Ferrell, but I think that feels kind of high to them. Maybe you take the top pass rusher on the board. There's a lot of interesting ifs or what ifs if the Jets move down further than 6 or 6 or whatever. What do you think? What would you want the Jets to do?
I basically agree with you. I'd try and get an offensive lineman or a receiver at the 6th or 17th pick.
I agree. I think at 17 you could go with Bradbury, the center, or at 6, you know, it might be a little bit of a reach, but not as bad as if you take one at 3. I think you could take Jonah Williams. I think you could take Cody Ford or, you know, any one of those top offensive linemen, whoever you deem the most successful, especially with Shell being hurt. You could start this guy at right tackle, or maybe you slide Beachum over to right tackle. It'll be interesting to see how the Jets address the offensive line position with the draft picks they have and pass rusher. They need those two things before we go into next season.
That's all. Subscribe to Jets 24/7.
I like this dude. Thanks, dude. Very cool. What's that? Jets Talk. Are you going to collab with Jets Central? I want to. I've reached out to him to do a collaboration. I am all for doing a collaboration with him, but I know his time restraints are a little tough right now. I asked him to do a consistent call-in show, so we would have actually been debating back and forth and taking phone calls. But I don't think he is really, I don't know if he's that interested in doing it. I think he likes what he's currently doing. I think he'll do collabs. Like we've talked about doing one after free agency. I reached out to him on Twitter. He never responded, so maybe he doesn't like me. What else we got in there? What questions? A big screw you to Gronk. Well, that's not very nice. I'm glad he retired. I'm glad he didn't get hurt and retired, like forced to retire. I'm just glad we're not playing him anymore. Who we got on the phone now?
Call from
Matt.
What's up, Matt? Welcome to the Cockpit.
Yo, what's up?
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Metuchen, New Jersey.
Nice. Good stuff. What can I answer for you?
I was here like 2 weeks ago. That was when the day that Bell signed. I said that my dad works for the Jets. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was wondering if you ever met any of the Jets players, like who was your favorite?
Who my favorite Jets player that I've met? Let's see. I don't know how much I've actually had a conversation with any of these players. So Eric Coleman followed me on Instagram, so that was kind of cool. So I sort of gave him a shout out. I was like, oh my God, I got a legit Jet player follow me. But I have met Wayne Corbett. I met Chad Pennington, Vinny Testaverde. My dad was actually talking to Chad Pennington's sister. I believe they own, maybe it's a lake community or something down in, Tennessee or somewhere down in the South. And so that was a little weird. So they were going back and forth. And I think we had a signed picture of Chad in our kitchen at one point. As far as players that I really like, from not ones that I've seen, but ones that I've followed, I love Jamal Adams. I really want to meet him. I'm going to go to the Jets mini camps or whatever when they start doing the training camps in Florham Park. I'm going to go down there and try to see if they'll let me film a little bit. I don't need to talk to any players, but just talk to the crowd and see what people want to do, and hopefully I get to see him.
Yeah, funny about Jamal Adams that since so my dad flies out with the team, right? And there was it was the preseason game. I think it was the second preseason game when they flew out.
Yeah.
And Jamal Adams dropped his phone in between the seats, in that black hole you can't get them.
Yeah.
So my dad helped him undo the entire seats and get his phone. And so my dad Jamal told my dad that anytime that we come to the practice that we could take a picture with him and you sign football or something. I still have a picture with him. So he was really cool to talk to.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. I like what Jamal brings to the table, and I think a lot of people give him a lot of crap because he wasn't a quarterback, and taking a strong safety at number 6 is, you can get good value in other parts of the draft, but the culture that he brings with him and the leadership, I think after the season we had just had, and then possibly if they believed in Hackenberg, I'm fine with them passing on a quarterback, but I really like Jamal Adams. I think he makes people excited to want to come to the Jets possibly. I think that's why we got Bell. I think his recruitment was huge.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I definitely want to go to one of the Jets practices. So maybe if we go to the same one, I will see you there.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Take it easy.
All right.
Thanks for calling in.
All right.
If the Jets offer Gronk a big contract, then Gronk might play. No, that won't happen because if Gronk unretires, the Patriots own his rights unless they release him. So more than likely what's going to happen is I just wanted to tell you that Jamal Adams has a YouTube channel. Man, if Jamal Adams would want to come on YouTube, it'd be cool if he followed me. That'd be really neat. Gronk would not sign with the Jets. Gronk only wants to be a Patriot. He said that multiple times, so I think there's no shot of that. I think he'll come back at some point during the year. I think the Patriots are going to be in a good spot where they're like, we need this final push, and like, Gronk will give you a little extra money because we found some extra money lying around, and now all of a sudden they have a healthy, refreshed Gronk, someone that took a year off or part of a year off, like a Le'Veon Bell.
Call from
Joseph, I'm back.
What's up, dude? Welcome to the Cockpit.
I did not expect to get on twice. All right.
What's up, brother? What can I answer?
Right. So somehow my phone hung up, and I have no idea why.
Oh, that's all right. What did you want to ask?
So regarding our offensive line during the draft.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's our biggest issue, for me at least, right now, because, we want to build around Sam Darnold. We want to keep him protected, keep him healthy.
Sure.
Because I would not like him to end up like Chad Pennington in injury.
Agreed. Chad would have been incredible had he not hurt his shoulder. He was just so cerebral. Yeah. Now, are you suggesting taking a offensive lineman at 3, or are you talking about a trade down scenario, or what kind of how do you want to address offensive line in the draft?
What is our? I think during our third round, I think is where we should start looking into offensive line.
Yeah, I think I would be cool with double dipping in the third round, or even combining those picks to move up into the second round for some player that's falling that we like. That could be a wide receiver. It doesn't necessarily have to be offensive line, but I do want us to address offensive line in some capacity. I think a trade down with a team that has 2 high picks would be beneficial. If we get a first next year, I think that could be huge, especially in a deep quarterback draft where we could potentially trade down again. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I do want a pass rusher, and I think 3 kind of has to be a pass rusher.
All right. So I would like you to talk to my dad because he's been a Jets fan for more than 40 years, longer than I have. So
yeah, absolutely. Is he there?
Yeah, I'm right here. How you doing?
Hey, what's up? Who's your favorite Jets player that you've ever...
I watched the Jets from the 7 train and watch a portion of the field so I can watch them lose with Richard Todd.
Oh, that sucks. That's awesome, though. I mean, who's your favorite Jet that you've seen in your career or fanhood that you've been a Jet fan for?
Oh, that's real easy. Real easy. Joe, tell him who my favorite Jet is.
All right, his favorite Jet, I don't know. He has too many.
It's got to be Klecko or Gastineau. That would be my guess.
Joe Klecko.
Yep, that's my dad's favorite player.
He's a monster. I got his jersey.
Yeah, oh yeah, my dad loves Klecko. My dad actually just recently got his jersey, got a retro one.
No, I got the jersey when they trained in Hempstead.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, he was an
athlete. Yeah, I watched it, of course, but I still wear it.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I think if the Jets could emulate that New York sack exchange line, I think that generates so much pressure on the quarterback. And I've said the stat. I don't know if you follow my channel at all, but
well, my son got me into you.
Oh, I'm glad. I said this stat in one of my other videos, but if you put pressure on the quarterback, it's proven through Pro Football Focus that the quarterback's rating drops by about 32 points, and that's the equivalent. That's the equivalent of going from a Big Ben down to a Blaine Gabbert in terms of quarterback play. So
we haven't had a real rushing defense in years.
It's true. I mean, the last one we really had was with Rex, and he was just sending the house. It was exotic blitzes. It wasn't really a pass rush where you could get 4 guys after the quarterback.
We need another Klecko. We need another Abdul Salam, Marty Lyons. Oh, my God. These are the guys that we need back in their youth as prime.
Oh, man, it would be incredible. Could you imagine those dudes if they went through, the training regiment some of these guys go through now and know, the health facts?
Yeah.
Those guys.
What do you think about Klecko not being in the Hall of Fame?
I think he's got to get in. I'm frustrated that he's not in yet. I don't know. I don't know if there's any type of term issue as far as how many times you're on the ballot if you can, not get in. I think baseball has some kind of rule like that. But I think he should be in. I think it's going to be tough for him to get in, especially with a lot of the players coming out of the NFL right now. I think there's a lot of recency bias, and it's going to be harder for an older player to get in if they haven't gotten in already.
Yeah, that's true.
I would like to see
But
him.
you know what? We live in Texas now. I was born and raised in Queens, in Astoria. You know, I would try to see the Jets as often as I could. But now we live in the great state of Texas, and we are hated here.
Well, it can't be that bad because a lot of Jets.
It's bad. It's like even I'm 6 foot, 250 pounds, and they still try to bully me when I wear Jets attire.
That's crazy because there should be no ill will with any team in Texas and the Jets. I mean, I understand if you were a Giants fan and people gave you crap for that, but I love Tony Romo.
No, you're a Yankee. It doesn't matter. You're a Northerner.
Oh, so they're saying New York from other sports and like screw that guy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's rough.
But I don't care. As long as the Patriots lose, it's a happy weekend for me.
That's man, and we don't get many happy weekends then. they just win all the time. They get like 12 wins every year.
Well, you know what? It's Brady. I'm glad the Gronk freaking retired, but Brady has to go down either in retirement or in injury.
I agree.
That's the only chance we have. That's the only chance we have to win the division now.
It'll be interesting. Without Gronk, I really hope Brady can't perform the way he has. But I think Brady and Belichick are just such an incredible combination, and they just know how to work the rules in their favor so well.
Yeah, and Brady's fit. He's fit, and he just trains nonstop. He's an animal. I wish he was a Jet.
I really do too. Now, there's part of me that really hates Tom Brady, like a lot, and I could probably rant about him and some of the things that I think are real shady that goes on with him. He gets paid under the salary cap from the Patriots. He owns the TB12 clinic that is employed by the Patriots to be their physical therapy department. So if he were to get paid, say, $1 million, $2 million, whatever the amount is, as CEO of that organization, it's not being counted against the salary cap, which is why he's taking $15 million instead of $30 million. Now, yeah. I mean, there's some issues with that, but then he's also got, Giselle, who makes way more money than he does. So, maybe, I don't know. I think that there's issues with him taking as little money as he is because it allows them a pretty unfair advantage to the rest of the league.
Well, our whole family are Jets fans. On my car, the doormats are Jets doormats.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome. That's really
my son goes. He got polo shirts, New York Jets polo shirts. He takes them to school.
That's great. I don't wear too much Jets gear anymore, especially because I'm working 5 or 6 days a week, so I have to be in a polo and like golf attire and whatnot. But I'll throw on my Jets beanie, or I'll have I'll wear my Jets jersey out on like my days off. I can't wait for the season to start. I'm chomping at the bit.
How about this? A prediction right now: if the Jet season opened up tomorrow, what do you think they finish at?
I think anything less than 8-8 is a failure. I think we should make the playoffs, or at least contend strongly going into the last week or two. I think we should have had a real good chance at the playoffs this past year. I think coaching absolutely hamstrung us. Going from 2017 to 2018, we had an easier schedule, we had a healthy Anunua, and I think Darnold is better than McCown was. There's no reason we shouldn't have had more wins than we did the year before.
Yeah, I think we're going to do 10-6 this year.
I think that's where I'd like to see us. I think 9-7, 10-6 is the most likely.
Yeah, I was saying 9-7 conservatively.
Yeah.
But I'm optimistic, and I'm saying 10-6.
Agreed. And 10-6, I hope that gets us into the playoffs because you're looking at, let's say the division winners are like the Chargers, the Patriots, the Browns, and the Colts. Now we're trying to fight off like the Chiefs possibly, the Texans, the Steelers, all those like that next realm of teams, and I think the Jets fall in line with that, and I think they could fall in line with some of those division winners as well. I think we're going to surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to some good draft picks and a couple of more signings to make us not an elite team, but one of the better teams.
Yeah, I agree. I hope that's what we wind up seeing. McCagnon's draft history outside of last year's draft has been a little dicey, so I understand people's concern with that. And I would love to see him hit on the first-round pick and those 2 third-round picks. Or I want to see us get 2 key players in this draft. If you can net 2 players per draft, you're usually ahead of the curve in terms of overall.
Yeah, but we haven't had much of a draft the last 3 or 4 years that we anything to speak of.
It's true. I mean, that's why we have so much cap space, is because we're not re-signing those young players. Leonard Williams is the only one that's been kind of good. We're going to let Darron Lee walk or trade him. And then the next player up to be signed would be Jamal Adams, and that's not really going to be, for another 2 years probably.
Yeah. Well, I got to say, my son got me turned on to your channel, and I'll be listening to you. And
Awesome.
my name is Vinny from Queens.
Awesome. Vinny from Queens, thank you for calling in. I love having some fans from Texas.
You got a lot over here, believe it or not.
Awesome.
You have a bunch of Jets fans. We meet up during the season at the Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Some of the fan interactions that I've seen, like my family lives in Florida now, and I was down there for a Jets game, and we all went to a bar, and there was like probably 40 or 50 Jet fans, and we're all chanting, and it's just the feeling of being like home and being in.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
That's
exactly it.
It's a brotherhood.
Well, anyway, it's been a pleasure speaking with you, and I'll give you back to my son.
Awesome. Thanks.
Right. So I think that's about what sums it up.
I like it, dude. Thanks for calling in. I hope to see you again.
All right.
Very cool. Jamal Adams will be the highest paid safety. He needs a payday. Yes, he will be the highest paid safety in the league at some point. I think I would be okay with them making him the highest paid safety prior to him going into the last year contract. I don't want to see any type of holdout or anything.
Call from
Bernard from North Carolina.
Bernard from North Carolina. Did you call in last week?
Oh, yes.
Okay, I remember. I remember North Carolina. I'm trying to figure out all the names still. I'm still learning everything. What's up, dude?
How you doing?
Not too shabby. What's on your mind?
Shortly, I want to cover a couple of things and put a couple of things on the table. I'm so glad I got through. How you doing tonight?
Not too bad. I'm having fun.
Okay. Yeah. I've been bouncing around some different things. About the possibility of trading down or whether to stay put at 3. I got this feeling. I want to run across you. I could be wrong, but I got a feeling Bosa might be there at 3. I got a feeling something telling me he's going to be there at 3.
I can
We're going to have
really
a
see.
decision to make.
I have.
If he's there.
If he's there, I take him hands down. I think it'll be tough because I think there's not necessarily a wrong answer because I understand Bosa's health concerns, but you're probably assuming Murray goes 1, Quinnen Williams goes 2. I would think, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
So
the Kyler Murray factor with him going all of a sudden over the last several weeks, the projection of him being the first pick, with you two, like yourself, and then I know major networks now are talking about Murray going 1. In the back of my mind, I'm not ready to concede Bosa to the 49ers. I think the 49ers might fool us and go with Quentin Williams.
I agree. I think
something's
that's
going to happen. Similar to what happened, this last draft where we thought the Baker Mayfield was going to us at 3. You remember that? I just knew he was coming to us at 3. And guess what? He went at 1. I think something similar is going to happen.
I was preaching for Baker Mayfield at 6. I wanted him at 3 when we got up, and then I was so sure we were going to get him. And when he wound up going number 1 overall, I think it was a day and a half before the draft that it was like, Baker's really going 1. And I was like, God damn it.
Yeah, I was so shocked when he went 1. I was like, whoa. I was kind of, disappointed. But, the more I learned about Donald, the more my concerns were put at rest. But it was strange about Donald coming out, because it was like a year or 2 ago, I picked up this, Pro Football Weekly, I like pick up the little draft issues.
Sure, yeah.
And I was looking at the projection there. This kid is like, little glimpse at the future. And a little piece on it called, where they had draft projections for the year ahead.
Yeah.
And they had this kid named Sam Darnold. I wonder who this is. And it was, projected for the first pick. And then, you look forward a year, as we got close to the draft, I noticed they weren't talking about him as much as they were talking about Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield, even Josh Rosen. It was kind of strange.
Well,
and then he fell to us at 3, and we took him. I had a good feeling, but on one hand, I was a little disappointed. Like a big part of the consolation, getting Donald, and we didn't get Baker, but I'm glad we got Donald because Donald is the perfect fit for us.
Now, see, I probably
the poise, and I don't know how Baker would adjust it, to the city because it's very intense, the media scrutiny and all of that. But I think we got the best guy for us.
Now,
and
I think
Cleveland
I probably
got the best guy for him. And,
I should have made a video about Sam Darnold last year because I really liked Sam Darnold. I was so sure he was going number 1 that I didn't even bother trying to make a video.
Yeah, me too. I thought he was going at the top of the draft to Cleveland or the Giants were going to take him, which was kind of strange that the Giants didn't take him. They took Saquon, even though Saquon is a fantastic running back. He may be one of the great running backs that we've seen in maybe decades.
I think
that's how good he is.
Barkley's incredible. I really like him a lot. I do think the Giant fans are probably kicking themselves for not having taken Sam Darnold at this point because they would have kept Odell probably.
So you think in your mind, you think, John, that they just aren't saying it publicly, but do you think they're having trepidations or some question marks on whether they should have went on and took down? You really think that's going on?
I think they are probably neglecting answering that because I think they do really like Saquon Barkley, and I think he's going to help him a lot.
Yeah,
but
I don't blame him because Sam Darnold is a good prospect, and he's going to be fantastic for us. And before I have to go, I want to cover this draft real quick.
Sure.
Between Bosa and Allen, I think it's a tough one for me. You know what I'm saying? You weigh in the technician, which is Bosa against Allen, who has such freakish explosive potential. You know, all we have to go on as fans is a YouTube video, but it is very impressive.
It
I look
really
at
is.
stuff and I'm like, wow.
I
You
really
know
like
what I'm
it.
saying?
So,
I mean, yeah, he needs a little technique work, but you imagine this kid is so explosive. I don't think he needs the same kind of technique that a Bosa. I think if you just give him just a little bit of technique,
I think
he could be insane. He could be really, really scary.
I
You know
think
what I'm saying?
with Bosa, I think we've probably not that we've seen his highest potential because I think he can obviously get better, but I think he is closer to his ceiling right now as a player
You're right.
as opposed to Allen, where I think he projects really well, and I think you can argue that his growth could be a lot higher potentially than Bosa. I think the health concerns are an issue with Bosa because Allen has been so healthy. I just think Bosa is absolutely a lights out lock for the type of player
That's
he
right.
is.
Because when I see Josh Allen, I study his video. I can't help but think about it. I was really jealous as a Jets fan. You know, I've been a Jets fan since I've been 12 years old. And you imagine, and I'm 52 years old now, back in the early 1980s, I think it was 1980. And I remember Mark Gastineau, coming off the edge just with, and terrorized. And then I looked at the Giants, their linebackers like Lon killing them. That's who Josh Allen makes me think of. I'm not saying he can be on quite the same level. Nobody is. But Josh Allen is very special. I see that,
Yeah, I agree. I think you're absolutely right. I think he can be the next great pass rusher, and I think it's something that the Jets need to strongly consider, considering we didn't get one in free agency.
Oh yeah, and before I go, if we trade down, I think we need to keep our minds open. Depends on how far we trade down. If we trade down outside the top 10, DK Metcalf needs to be on the table.
Agreed.
That tight end prospect, I don't know the kid's name, but he's very, very good. I mean, a couple of guys I think need to be put on the table that we're not talking about if we move beyond 10. If we stay inside the top 10, we got to think Creed Williams and, what do you think?
I think there's a lot of interesting prospects that we could target when we trade down. So I think I might make a video coming up in the next few weeks as far as targets the Jets could make if we trade down. I think that's something that a lot of people have interest in, and I think there's 5 or 6 guys that I would like to see us at least seriously consider.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing your video, and I'm going to definitely keep an eye on you. And I really enjoyed talking with you. And you take care, buddy.
Thanks, dude. Thanks for calling in again.
Okay, now.
Very cool. Who do I compare Allen to? So there's 2 scary things. Well, one good thing. I don't know. I'd have to look at Von Miller's tape because Von Miller's stupid fast. But, he's a speed rusher kind of like Allen is. But the thing that scares me about Allen is Aaron Maben was a speed rusher and not really a tactician, but like someone that was really highly touted coming out of the draft. And I don't know where he falls if he falls in the same realm as far as like draft grades or anything. But Maben was not able to run around tackles the way he was in college, and that sort of scares me. But that said, I do have him as my 3rd best prospect in the draft, so I really don't, I'm splitting hairs either way. Do you think J.C. Hassener? I have no idea who that is. That means nothing to me.
Call from
Bobby from Tennessee.
Bobby from Tennessee, what's up? Welcome to the Cockpit.
Hey, man. Thanks for answering. Hey, it's good talking with you.
That's awesome. What can I answer for you?
Hey, man, I've been touching base with you from time to time. Hey, email. Mm-hmm. But anyway, hey, I just want to know, what do you think we're going to do at center, man? It doesn't seem to be, on the top minds of everybody right now. And, man, I don't know. I just can't shake it. I can't believe we passed up Paradis and, others. And what do you think that we're going to end up doing?
I agree. I think it's concerning. I thought Paradis, especially for, I think it was like $9 million a year is what he wound up signing in Carolina for. Or even Morris. I think Morris signed for $11 million up in Buffalo, and I think we should have addressed it there. We have the money. It didn't make sense not to invest in that. And McCagnon really likes his older offensive linemen. He doesn't tend to draft offensive linemen. I know he was looking to go after Tunsil in the 2016 draft. We were trying to trade up. That was when we took Darron Lee. As far as center goes, maybe they do. There's rumors that there's possibly a trade on the table for the Jets right now to trade back, a standing offer. I don't know if that's if there's any truth to it at all. But if it were, say, the Giants and it were the 6th pick and the 17th pick, I think they feel 100% confident that the Jets would be able to get Bradbury, the top center in the draft, at 17, even though I think that's a little bit higher than I think they should take him. But it's possibly, a possibility. I don't know who's there in the 3rd round or if the Jets are looking to move up. I think we do need to get a pass rusher and a center. I don't care what we do with the rest of our picks. We can get rid of all of them for all I care. If we come away with a pass rusher and a center, I think it's going to be worth it.
Yeah. One of my main concerns, too, is the protection thing for Darnold. It's, we've done well bringing in, a few people to help him out. But I think at center, last year, he spent half his time trying to run the football down, as the ball was being centered to him and such, and everything, So I'm just hoping that, they get somebody that can at least get the football to him and, give him some confidence.
I agree. I think we shouldn't understate the amount of help that Le'Veon Bell is actually going to do for Darnold. I think, I mean, we do need a center, don't get me wrong, but just having that threat of him being able to catch a pass out of the flat or, give that light little chip and then turn around and, be a receiver at that point is going to slow pass rushers up just a little bit. And
and his ability of blocking,
Oh,
too.
absolutely. I think if we can, so it's the same token where I was talking with that other caller. If you put pressure on the quarterback, their QB percentage or rating drops by 32 points on average. Now, at the same time, if you can protect him for that quarter of a second more, his quarterback rating is going to go up, a little bit. So even if it's not, a huge difference by having Le'Veon Bell in terms of overall offensive line grade, if we can generate, a quarter of a second, half a second more time for Darnold, I think we're going to see an even better quarterback than we did year one.
Absolutely. Well, it's just something, like I said, it's been on my mind, and it doesn't seem like the media and whatnot that I followed seems to be, have a huge interest in that. And it just really shocked me, with the fact that, I don't know, Mac, and I'm sure he's got something, like you said, something on his mind that he's interested in possibly pursuing. But I'm just anxious, of course, for the season, and I'm excited about, what's been done so far, and I'm just hoping that they're able to complete the puzzle, if you will.
I agree. I think there's probably a plan in place, and I cannot wait for the season to get underway. I love the draft time, which is kind of sad because I would like to hate the draft because we're picking 28th, 30th, 32nd. But I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it a lot.
Absolutely. Well, look, man, I just want to tell you, I appreciate you. Your show is great. Look forward to Mondays tuning in, and your football knowledge is impeccable. And I appreciate you keeping up with it the way you do and everything.
Thank you, dude. It's fun to know I have people from around the country, not just the tri-state area.
Oh, absolutely. I've got involved with the Jets when I was, like the previous caller, when I was about 12 years old or so. Mac or Gastineau, of course, sparked my interest at the time. No one else seemed to, had a sack dance or anything. So that's what spurred my interest originally, to become a Jets fan, and I've been one ever since.
Oh, that's awesome.
Through thick and thin.
That's awesome, dude. Thank you. I appreciate you calling in.
All right, thanks. But thanks for taking me, brother. You have a good night.
You as well. Oh, man, that's cool. Tennessee, we got Texas, we got North Carolina. I saw Florida in here. I think there was a UK. Last week we had a Brazil. Man, we got people all over the world. Jet Nation runs deep. I like it. Let's see. I don't think Allen's game translates to the NFL. That's my concerning part. That's where I'm worried. I think the speed is there. I'm just worried that he may not be able to do that at the NFL level. By the way, J.C. Housener is for the center for the Birmingham Iron. I'll have to look at that. I am a big fan of the AAF, by the way. If you guys want to talk AAF, I'll talk AAF.
Call from
Damian Scott.
What's up, Damien? Welcome to the Cockpit.
Hey, how you doing?
What can I answer for you?
I wanted to revisit the whole trading down thing.
Sure.
Right. And the one thing that I'd like to add to the whole conversation, I feel like people are way too, I don't want to say eager, but they're very excited to trade down and and I understand why, to try to accumulate picks and everything, but I feel like we need to eventually start to be that team that is greedy and that looks out for ourselves. I think that we do need to demand a high amount of picks if they want ours.
I completely agree. And while we're on that topic, I'm going to try and look up the percentage. The percentage of success based on draft selection by pick, because there's a very drastic percentage drop from, I believe it's the top 5 down to like the top 10. So if we were to trade down, you have to see, where that are we getting a stud? We may not be getting a blue chip prospect if we were to trade back with the Washington Redskins. I think the talent drop off from these top 3 defenders, from say players 4 through 15, are about the same in terms of skill level and the amount that we're actually going to get from them.
Right, and I think that's a pretty big deal. I mean, everybody's very quick to trade down, and I get it. You want 3 second rounders like we gave up and all this stuff, but it has to be something crazy, at least for me, if we're giving up what we could have.
I completely agree. I think that you have to be able to extract value out of that 3rd pick, because if a team's moving up to get a quarterback that is changing their franchise, the best thing that could happen to us is that the Redskins and the Giants are fighting over that pick, or maybe Oakland decides to, say on the off chance that Bosa goes 1, Williams goes 2, and Murray's there at 3, and maybe the Raiders are like, hey, we want him. We don't want the Jets to trade out of this pick. They've expressed interest in trading out. Now, if we were to swing it for, just to fall back 1 pick, and now all of a sudden we get Allen or whoever that 3rd prospect is on the board, and they get their quarterback, and we pick up a 2nd or a 1st-round pick, similar to the way the 49ers did it with the Bears. I think they fell down 1 pick for like a second rounder, and I would be okay with that, as opposed to taking possibly a 1st this year and maybe a 1st next year from Washington. Now that's.
I mean, is it crazy for me to want to ask them for 2 first rounds this year? I mean, why not start there?
You mean for Oakland? Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's absolutely a possibility that the Jets could ask for, say number 4, and I think what is their last 1st-round pick might be 27. So I think
plus some, I would say.
Yeah, try to get both of them. If you can get both 2 of those 1st-round picks, because they're going to have an extra one anyway. They're getting the quarterback of the future. They could trade Derek Carr for another pick. I think they would be okay doing that, especially if it meant they were definitely getting their quarterback of choice. Because all we have to do is say, hey, look, the Giants are offering us 6 and 17. At least give us number 4 and number 20, whatever that later pick is. I know they have 24, but I think I want to say it's 26 or 27. And if we get those 2 picks, then I think you can definitely have a good shot at taking the center at the end of the 1st round, and then you're getting Allen or whoever that 3rd defensive player is on the board.
I think that's a great idea, and I mean just the whole point of like I was saying, just changing the mentality of how we sit. I mean, we need to start going for people's throats. Everybody else does.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that needs to be, talked about more. I think you can't substitute like elite talent for another player, really. And if you have the opportunity to select a blue chip player, you're talking outside of your quarterback, you're taking a stud player that's almost guaranteed to be a lock. I think you have to extract value out of that, whether you take the player or you just get a king's ransom for the trade.
Right. I would also, I mean, if it was me negotiating too, I would also remind people I have the chance to take one of these crazy defensive players that I could sit right next to Mosley and Adams and really make something, I mean, you better make it worth me not having him.
I completely agree. I absolutely wholeheartedly agree. I think you have to get enough value out of that pick, and if they're not going to offer it, I'd rather take the blue chip prospect.
I'm in. I'm all with you, man. Thank you for taking my call.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate you calling in. I'm really confused why we didn't sign the center from Denver. Me too, and I don't know if that's an us problem or if it's a his problem, because he is a small town kid from Boise State, or well, the town he's from is like less than like 600 or 700 people, or maybe it's under 900 people, the population. But he went to school at Boise State, so I think he kind of likes the small town vibe. He may not want to be in the tri-state area. So maybe that's why he chose Carolina. Now, I think we should have absolutely been in play for him for that price. I think we should have been the highest offer, and I don't think there's a reason why. There's no reason for me to want to roll over $30 million in cap space unless we're looking to make a trade for a player on a high contract during the draft. Running out of air.
Call from
Panda.
Dan, what's up, dude? Thank you for calling into the Cockpit.
Hey, what's up? What's going on? Been watching your live stream from the beginning.
Oh, that's awesome. Where are you calling from?
Yeah. I'm calling from Westchester.
Very cool.
Right across from where you are, yeah. What's going on?
Not too much. Hanging in there. Having a few brewskis. What can I answer for you?
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to throw a trade down. I wanted to make 2 points.
Sure.
One was, everybody's talking about trade down, but I have a curveball team that might be interested.
Okay, fire away.
I would think the Jets would trade with Detroit. Detroit has the 8th pick.
Okay.
Right, but I read some, through in the internet that the Detroit Lions want to do a pre-draft visit with Josh Allen.
Okay. So you think they might trade up for a pass rusher, even though they just signed Trey Flowers?
Right. But see, with Patricia there, they're going to be using 3-4 and 4-3. They're going to switch. So if the Jets, trade the 3rd pick and for the Lions' 8th pick, the second round deal this year, and their first next year.
I would do it. I think if you can get a first round pick. And now it depends. If like the Giants do want to trade up, I would probably consider them because they have 2 this year. And I think McCagnon's going to want to try and do as much as he can this year because he may be in hot water if the team does not perform well and if his draft picks do not pan out. Now, I do think we have him probably for the next 2 years because I think when you allow him to bring in his own coach, I don't think you immediately switch out the GM. So I think
that also because of the collective bargaining agreement that's going to happen in 3 years or something like that.
I think it's 2021.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to see about that. The other point I wanted to make was about Le'Veon Bell and his running style.
Yeah.
Our need for center is very, very important because he's not a in between the tackle runner. He's a center to guard inside runner.
Okay.
Majority of the times. So I think that I would actually trade for a center rather than drafting a center in round 3.
I agree. I think McCagnon would probably be on board with that as well. I think there is a lot to that because he doesn't like taking offensive linemen because it's young. Because of that collective bargaining agreement, it prevents players from playing and practicing as much as they do or they did in the previous collective bargaining agreement. And
right, because they used to have 2-a-days, right? Not anymore, right?
Correct. And I think offensive linemen need that repetitive hitting to have the technique and have the form and have the cohesiveness between that entire offensive line. All 5 players are essentially one big unit. And if you take a player in the 3rd round, if you're McCagnon, you may not be around in the front office before that guy develops into the prospect you need him to be to save your job. So
yeah, pretty much.
I don't know what centers are possibly on the trade market. I know there was one in Jacksonville who's really good, who's got a pretty big contract, and maybe Jacksonville, in some capacity wanted to move on from him, and I don't know.
I read something about what about the Ravens center, Scudra? I don't know if I pronounce his name.
I actually don't know anything about him. Let me look him up real quick. while I have you on the phone. I'll look at his contract and see what he's actually got, because that will usually be a good indicator as far as could he be a potential trade target for the Jets.
I've also seen people talk about Rodney Hudson, KO's teammate, but I don't know about that. So.
I don't see, where is this dude that you're talking about? I don't see. Oh, Bradley Bozeman.
Yeah.
Bozeman, is that who you're talking, or is it Matt?
No.
Matt Skura.
Skura, Skura, something like that.
So yeah, okay. He's 26 years old. He has 1 year remaining on his deal. None of it's guaranteed. So maybe they try to move on from him. Now, I don't know how the Ravens' offensive line was this past year. If he was the starter after they lost Jensen and he played well, I could see them wanting to keep him. It looks like he's an exclusive rights restricted free agent. So he is only in the 3rd year of his career, I believe. Or maybe the 4th year of his career. He didn't accumulate 3 full years. I think that's why he's a restricted free agent. I'm all for trading for a guy. I think McCagnon probably is as well. I think that may be why we're holding on to $30 million. That way we can make a move, maybe swing a 3rd round pick for a player that is on a high contract that the team is looking to kind of move on from.
All right, love your channel, man.
Awesome, thank you for calling
especially your Fuck, Marry, Kill.
Oh yeah, you like that? What do you think of the new series I'm doing with For Better or Worse?
I haven't really caught up too much because we're working, but I'm gonna catch up with that.
Gotta watch it. I've been having fun with that. I'm getting married next year in May, so the Marry or Better or Worse thing kind of resonated with me. So I had a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah. All right, have a nice night.
Take it easy, dude. Oh, awesome. Very cool. Let's see. Let's look at some comments. What do we got in here? If you guys send a super chat, I'll answer your question first. I haven't gotten any of those. It's kind of cool. It made me feel good last time. I don't know if it even shows up. I don't know if I'm actually doing this right. What about Andre Roberts, bragging rights, bagging the Jets off? I think, we probably didn't want to sign him because of his age. That would probably be my take.
Call from
Tommy Ramone.
Tommy, what's up, dude? Welcome to the Cockpit.
What's up?
Where are you calling from?
Peekskill.
Peekskill, what's up? Very cool. What can I answer for you?
Well, let's see. I talk a lot about the trading down, Josh Allen rules. So why don't we go to the 3rd subject on your live stream? Gronk's retirement.
All right, I like it. Okay, we've had a lot of the trade down talk, so I guess I'll have to make another video on that. I did one, but I should probably update it. Gronk retires. What do you think about that? How do you feel?
Well, similar. It's like part of me is happy because I don't have to worry about him, but the part of me is like, he's such a goofball and so interesting that I just like to see him play.
I really do, and it's probably sacrilegious that, we had, God, so many, bad plays against him where he's just dominating us, and I watch him and I'm like, man, I really wish he wasn't a Patriot because I love rooting for the guy. He's fun. I'm 29 and he's gonna be 30, in June, so we're close to the same age. So whenever he did something, it sort of resonated with my timeline and my maturity as an adult. And I really loved watching all his different stuff. And he's good with kids too. He has a lot of fun with the kids. I think he's
he's a child at heart.
I think there's a few. I understand. Some people don't like him, and I think some people give him a little more crap than he may necessarily deserve for the hit in the Rams game where he dove on the player it was either out of bounds or the whistle blew, and it was a really dirty shot. And it was the one play that kind of takes a little bit away from him. But
I think there's that play, and there's probably also a play last year against the Bills.
Yeah, that's true. I think a lot of...
but outside of that, he's been a model player.
I agree. If you could have more players in the NFL like Gronkowski, where he's engaging with the fans, he's having fun, he's enjoying life, he's not getting in trouble outside of, Herndon's gotten a DUI, and Donahue's driving backwards into the Lincoln Tunnel, and all these different things that could happen to a player, and he has lived his life to the fullest as far as I'm concerned, and he's done it in the right way. He hasn't shamed the league. He hasn't brought shade on the league. look, some of the things he does are like a little dicey at times, like the whole 69 thing that he loves. I would bet Goodell could probably do without that, but I think the popularity he brings to the sport is something that will be missed. I think we haven't seen the last of him, whether he goes to the WWE or he goes into broadcasting or TV or something like that. I think we'll see more of Gronk.
I got a gut feeling he's going to go Hollywood.
I think so. I think he could do that. It wouldn't shock me if he tried to come back this year at some point. If someone really wants to prevent him from coming back to the Patriots, they would offer him a shit ton of money and say kind of like with Romo. Like Romo could have gone back to either be a head coach or a backup quarterback somewhere. But what is it, CBS or ESPN or whoever paid him a crap ton of money to just hang out and talk football.
Oh yeah, no. I don't think Gronk's gonna come back because he's already taking a beating. He's got nothing left to prove.
I agree. He's got 3 rings. He's got 5 Pro Bowls. I think he's the most dominant tight end of all time. I really do. I posted this in a few Facebook groups, and I got a little pushback. People, said Ozzie Newsome and, Mackey and all these different guys, Gonzalez, and I'm just like, man, you look at if I had to take Gronk or take a tight end for one play or one drive, whatever it is, one season, I don't know how you can argue that Gronk is not the most physically
6'6",
difficult.
262 pounds, monster to tackle.
Incredible. Just watching him bounce off guys is just fascinating.
Oh, they shrug off the thing about him is that he is probably right now he was the best complete all around tight end because receiving, deadly, than the blocking that he did this year.
I was watching some highlights when I was doing my research on his video, and I think it was Terrell Suggs. I think on the Ravens, and he laid a block on Suggs and just fucking knocked him the frig out. He didn't even see it coming. He just pancaked him, and he was like,
yeah. And the thing is, one thing about this is, as much as Patriots fans will call me crazy in going their accents, they'll say it in their annoying Boston accent. They are not going to be able to replace him easily. And they will laugh at me, and like I said, in their accent, say, there's no way that we're not going to have any friggin' trouble replacing Gronk. We are going to replace him so friggin' easily because Bill Belichick is the greatest friggin' coach of all time. Nova.
Oh, yeah. It's like, wicked pissa, right? It's with that friggin' Boston accent. It's,
yeah. But I actually got my cousin, who is a diehard Patriots fan. He is so diehard, he refuses to admit that in the Super Bowl against the Bears, that the Patriots stood no chance. That's how diehard he is. And he said, yeah, we're going to have a tough time replacing Gronk.
Man, I think they're going to have a tough time replacing Gronk. I really do. I think...
Yeah, no, I think it's... And also, you're not going to get a guy who's... Because the way the college game is so spread out now, there's not many tight ends who are good at blocking and receiving. You either get a better blocker than receiver or a better receiver than a blocker. It's very hard to find those. Yeah, so you're going to have to probably get one or two. You have to get 2 guys to replace him, and that makes you more predictable because if you got receiving tight end on the field, you're going to be passing the ball to him. If you got the blocking guy on the field, you're going to be running the ball.
Yeah, I agree.
Makes you more predictable.
So this is the biggest reason why I was very pro Jamal Adams during that draft. And a lot of people kind of, I think a lot of people do like him. I think he's got maybe a majority in his corner, but a lot of people wanted to go.
Oh yeah, people love the personality and everything. The fact that no matter what situation, no matter if the game's going in the toilet, he just goes. He puts 102% on every play.
I agree. But I think that his biggest, pro for him, and you're seeing it with safeties now. Safeties are starting to get paid a lot of money. There's a few that are hitting the free agent market, and you can get them in free agency for maybe not quite as much. But when you watch this dude play, he can line up as a safety, he can line up as a linebacker, he can line up as a cornerback, and he can line up as a blitzer. Having that ambiguity where the quarterback is not quite sure what he's doing and has to think for that extra second. It could be a quarter of a second more, whatever it is. That delay.
Oh yeah, the extra second's gonna help him because the longer you think, the quicker the defenders are going to get to you.
Anthony D, thank you for hanging out. I know you're leaving. Have an awesome time. But yeah, no, I agree. I think the ability to try and make the team better and trying to I don't know. There's so much that I think we could do, and I think we're sitting in a really nice spot. What's crazy is we could be...
Oh, yeah, 3. Yeah, perfect.
It kills me because we could have had the first overall pick if it were was it the Giants that beat the 49ers towards the end of the season, and if the 49ers had won, the Jets would have owned this number 2 overall pick, so that Murray goes 1 and we get Bosa or whoever we want.
Oh, yeah. But either way, they're going to get one of the top 3 defenders.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, dude, I'm going to take another call.
They're going to get Greg a nice toy.
Oh, yeah. No, I think so. I think so, too. I think he's got to turn... If we got Quinnen Williams and Greg Williams could turn him into Aaron Donald 2.0, I don't know
what are you going to nickname it? The Williams trio?
Yeah, what would we have? It would be, Greg Williams, Leonard Williams, and Quinnen Williams. And then we have Avery Williams' son. So there's a lot going on there.
You can have what would that be? You can have a Williams barbershop quartet.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I like it.
You can have them all.
I like it, dude.
Yeah, if someone came out with that, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if someone did a Photoshop of them all in green and white barbershop quartet outfits
with like the stripes and stuff, and they're like, I could see it. I could see it for sure. Listen, dude, I'm gonna take the next caller. I appreciate you calling in.
All right, have a good one, and as always, go Jets.
Go Jets. That's cool, man. We got so much stuff going on. I want to talk some new rules. What do you guys think about the new potential rules? What do you think of the onside kick? No one's bringing it up. Everyone's talking draft. And I know draft is the hot topic. I get it. It makes sense. This is the most recent thing that's coming up. And maybe we won't talk about the new rules until they actually become official or whatever. Let's see. Trade with the Bengals for A.J. Green and some rounders. I wonder what it would take to get A.J. Green. I don't know if A.J. Green wants to leave. And I don't know. Beachum is an $8 million cap hit. Not if we cut him. We can cut him and he's fine. I don't care about Beachum. But I think Beachum is fine for this year until we get a replacement. Back to A.J. Green. A.J. Green has like 1 or 2 years left on his deal. I think he's got 1 year left on his deal.
Call from
A.J. Green.
Brendan.
2.
Brendan, what's up, dude? Welcome to the Cockpit.
How's it going, man?
Where are you calling from?
Allendale, New Jersey.
Nice. What can I answer for you? What do you want to talk about?
So, I don't know, just want to talk around about like the draft and everything, and I just want to bring up a couple players that I was looking at. So, obviously Nick Bosa, a big topic right now. I just want to ask a question. Does his injuries in his college resume, like, does that concern you?
I think it does. I think that's probably his biggest red flag because we saw a little bit of injury concern with his brother Joey, and you do wonder about that. But when you watch his tape when he's healthy, I don't know if you can argue that he's not the best player in the draft. Quinnen Williams has stayed healthy, and he looks, I think those guys are clearly the top 2.
Right.
You watch Bosa, and he has a spin move. He has a bull rush. He has a speed rush. He's got all these different traits. I think even if he's injured a little bit, you could dial back his workload and possibly give him a little bit less responsibility and still generate the amount of pressures and sacks that you would need to have a successful defense.
Right. And so let me just play out a scenario real quick. So let's just say Kyler Murray goes first overall as projected right now.
Yep.
And then let's just say that that the Niners get Quinnen Williams. You're going to take Bosa, but let's say if they take Bosa. Number 2, who are you going to take? Are you going to take Williams or are you going to take Allen?
This is tough for me because I think Quinnen Williams could be the best player in this draft, and there is an argument to be said if they don't believe in Leonard Williams that it makes sense to take the best player available and replace Leonard Williams if he's going to leave after next year. But this is similar to what we had in 2015 with Vic Beasley and Leonard Williams, where we took Leonard Williams as the best player in the draft, but maybe we should have taken Vic Beasley because it filled a need and we wouldn't have had to play Sheldon out of position. Now, I'm fine with either pick. I understand the Josh Allen pick. I would have preferred us to get Justin Houston in free agency and then take Quinnen Williams at 3. But I don't know, man. I would be happy either way. I'm not super against either one of the players or super for one of them. Bosa is really the only one that I think is I'm more in line with. But I agree with, taking Josh Allen and trying the route that we haven't really tried since we had John Abraham.
Right.
and so I'm a diehard Jets fan. Been watching some of your channel. I like all the content you're putting out, by the way, and that's a great response. And I just wanted to say, I'm not the biggest believer in Mike Taggart, but you know what? He's done a lot of trades and he's done a lot of work that I think is going to put our franchise in the right direction. Acquiring Bell definitely saved his job, and also Sam Darnold moving up for that. That's one of the best things that we've seen as Jets fans. So. You know what? The one point that I would like to make out is that when McCagnon takes the predictable picks, like Jamal Adams and moving up for Sam Darnold, that's what is going to help our franchise. Because I know that a lot of Jets fans are excited about getting a king's ransom and potentially trading down, but I don't really necessarily trust McCagnon with the second round pick, just because of the stuff that he's done with those. So I think getting a blue chip defender is just going to completely change everything for this young defense, and also acquiring a defensive-minded coach in Greg Williams. So what do you think about that?
I completely agree. I think there's concern with McCagnon's draft history. He did have a good draft last year, but I think there is legitimate concern about his drafting. Now, where I will argue a little bit in his favor, and you mentioned it with the trades, he has made some of the best trades our franchise has really seen, and we have gotten production from these players. You look at, I don't agree with the Fitzpatrick trade or the contract, but I agree with the trade. We gave up, I think, a 6th round pick for him or a 7th round pick to get Fitzpatrick, and we got arguably the best quarterback production of a Jet in history. So, for that kind of production in a trade, that's huge. When you look at Brandon Marshall, we gave up, I think it was a 5th round pick, and we got arguably the best receiver in our franchise's history. So. There's ways to acquire talent outside of the draft. We got Robbie Anderson as an undrafted free agent. We picked up, Henry Anderson in a trade. We got Coney Ely in free agency. There's a whole bunch of different ways to get players. Now, the draft is the most beneficial way to get them because you have them under control for, 5 to 4 to 3 years, whatever the contract is. And I think he needs to hit on those mid-round picks. That's why you see the Saints are so good, and you see the Chiefs are so good, and all these different teams that are having sustained success. Those are the teams you want to try and emulate. When I was going through, not different jobs, but I was going through. They used to send us to other resorts to look at how other operations work, so we could try to emulate what they're doing to try and better our operation. And I think when you look at the Jets, you should try to look at other teams and what they're doing to try and see what works and what makes sense. And when you look at the Saints, they're building an offensive line. They take a lot of good weapons. And then you look at the Colts. The Colts have a stout offensive line. I think they're going to be really good for a while. I think Quinton Williams is probably the best offensive line prospect that we've seen. Or, sorry, not Quinton Williams. Quentin Nelson. Quentin Nelson is the best offensive line prospect that we've seen in a long time. He was a stud. He's as close to a lock of a player that, if you had to pick hey, that dude's going to go to the Hall of Fame, he's one that I thought last year, if the Jets were to have gotten Kirk Cousins, I would have taken Quentin Williams. Or, God, I keep saying that. Quentin Nelson, hands down.
Right. And about the New Jerseys, what kind of looks are you thinking? I'm hearing Kelly Green, and also that we're going to change the logo and a possible black alternate jersey. But what do you think? Do you think that we're going to bring it back to Kelly Green and just the traditional look when Joe Namath was wearing the green and white, or what do you think it's going to be, or a new type of look?
I would bet a lot of money. So I know for a fact black is going to be a base jersey. I don't know if it's going to be our standard, but it's going to be one of those options is definitely going to be black. I've heard for a fact that it's going to be a lighter green. I would love the Kelly green. I think that's the best green that the Jets have ever had. I don't mind this dark look. It's fine. I think the logo's, where's that logo? Logo is all right. It's not terrible. I would like to see a revamped logo of the logo from the 80s, 90s that, with the swoosh kind of like my little channel thing has. And I don't know what we'll get. I'm a little concerned about it because I know some people that are I don't necessarily trust everything, but when you look at what the NFL has done, the Lions uniform, when they changed it, that looks better. I think the Buccaneers logo looks better.
The Dolphins from a while, a couple years back.
Yeah, the Dolphins logo looks better. I think we can update our logo. I'm curious to see if it's a totally different logo or if it's something like a play off of the past. Are we going to wind up seeing a jet or some type of crazy.
Yeah, I've been thinking in like a physical jet. Like you may actually see that, like actual like physical jet on it. I don't know, like you may bring that up because we've written it out and put the football on it with the green circle and everything and why. So I don't know, but maybe a physical jet. Who knows?
So what do you think of? I'm a little surprised we don't have a mascot because there was a lot of debate on Fireman Ed and the whole
I think Fireman Ed's our mascot.
And especially when we lost Fireman Ed for those few years, and there was no Jet chant. The Jet chant got extremely weak. The Jets were beaten down, and it wasn't there was no vocal leader. They tried to pan around to the fans to try and be like, oh, this is the fan that's going to lead the chant now, and everyone's like, oh, what am I doing? I think, what does every Jet need? Every Jet needs a pilot, and I don't know why we don't have some Top Gun looking pilot as our mascot that just leads the entire Jet chant. Like, I'm shocked that they haven't tried to do something like that to at least uniform, something. I don't know. Maybe they bring it up with the new uniforms, but I would definitely be all
that would be cool. A whole new idea of just a mascot, like the fans, we want to be able to feel like to be interactive with everyone and stuff. So, in my eyes right now, like as long as we got Fireman in the stands, I think the stands will be rocking. But I know that right now we're kind of changing with the marketing aspect, we're kind of changing a lot. With our logos and everything. So, and also I heard something about like we're trying to get like an anthem or something, some kind of like song. I don't know, like something like that.
I like
so
it.
We're definitely doing like. What's up?
I'm all for it. Any type of energy that it could bring to the fan base. Hold on, I want to answer one question because someone got me fired up in the comments right now. This dude said if we got Cousins, we wouldn't have traded up to 3, and if the Colts didn't trade down, they'd have taken Nelson at 3. Most likely. I agree. But the Bills would have absolutely traded up with the Colts, so the Jets would have gotten Nelson at 3, and the Colts would have fallen back to like pick 8 or whatever the Bills wound up being. Sorry, I got a little fired up at that one, but I had to answer it.
Yeah, no problem. And just another question real quick. Tremaine Johnson, does his contract scare you?
His contract does a little bit, but the way I've always looked at contracts as it's not my money. And unless the contract prevents us from signing more talent, I don't care what the player gets. Now, Tremaine Johnson is absolutely overpaid. I think he's the highest paid corner or the second highest paid corner in the league, and his production has not matched up with the contract he's given. But that being said, if it hasn't prevented us, which it hasn't as of yet, from signing other talent, I don't really care.
Right, and a lot of my friends are kind of bugging out about like that, saying that he's overpaid and that he's a bust with the contract that we gave him. Yeah. And I remember on the free agency market, it was either him or Malcolm Butler. And honestly, like I'm not going to say that Malcolm Butler's on the decline, but I don't know. I don't know. So like since we kind of really didn't like go that route and we went Tremaine, I think that Mike McCagnon gave him a little bit too much. But you also got to think that you got to remember that he faced an injury that kept him out. I want to say, how many weeks was it? Was it 4 weeks? Was it, or maybe even more?
Yeah.
So he faced a pretty a big injury, but he's kind of been all over the place. And in some parts he got burned, but he got some picks and stuff. But you know what? We got Greg Williams in the building, and I think he's going to really make his money worth. And also, like a lot of Jets fans are kind of concerned about Leo's production, and we're saying that he should be doing a little bit more than for his expectations, 6th overall pick. But you know what? Greg Williams again. I think that he's going to come in and make their money's worth. So a great pick by Adam Gase to bring him in. So it's exciting, and also Mike McCagnon. It's exciting. So I think it's going to be a transition. I like the offseason moves. How about yourself?
I like it a lot. I think we went after Tremaine Johnson instead of Butler. I wanted Butler last year. If you were to look back at my free agency videos, I think I made one about bringing in Malcolm Butler. I could be wrong on that, but I really wanted him. The reason why we got Tremaine Johnson is I believe our defensive backs coach was the defensive backs coach in Los Angeles or with the Rams, and that's why that connection kind of rang in. And now Greg Williams was with the Rams when Tremaine Johnson was having some of his best years. So if we can resurrect that type of career with Greg Williams, especially if we were to address pass rusher in the draft, it can't be understated. Like I know a lot of people are kind of freaking out about the cornerback position. But if we can get more pressure on the quarterback, our corners are going to look so much better. And I really think pass rusher is where we need to go. We've seen what happens with, Darrell Revis, with Antonio Cromartie, with Buster Skriniar. We bring in all these guys. Let's try something we haven't tried in a little while. Let's go after the passer a little bit faster. That should.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
I think it makes a lot of sense.
Completely. What do you think about Poole?
Poole. I did my For Better or Worse episode on him, and I think You know, I don't think he's a huge improvement over Buster Screen, but I think for the money, I think he is. I think, you know, you look at it, I think we're paying him $3.5 million or something like that. It's not a whole lot. Penalty wise, it's, you know, whatever. It's close to a wash, but I think where we're going to use him is in that blitz package. I think we're going to use him around the line of scrimmage. I think him and Jamal Adams could possibly swap in and out, where Jamal possibly looks like he's going to blitz and then bounces off to cover Poole's guy, and Poole comes in and blitzes instead. So I think that's something that we could see a little bit of. I don't think he's a number 2 corner. I think Darryl Roberts was re-signed to actually play the number 2 corner slot. I think we're okay with the corners we have now. I don't believe we're going to really go hard after one. I mean, maybe we take one in the 3rd round if we take, you know, pass rusher, offensive line, and then, you know, best player available as a corner. I would be fine with that, but I think they like Parry Nickerson a lot too.
Right. And honest opinion, like your gut instinct of who we're gonna take at 3.
God, my gut instinct. Okay, so it's changed a little bit. My mock draft, I put out Quinnen Williams, but I could see us taking Josh Allen just because it's different than what McCagnon did with the Leonard Williams and Vic Beasley
I agree
situation.
with that.
So I think maybe he might have learned from that after seeing what happened with the logjam with Sheldon Richardson, with Muhammad Wilkerson.
Right.
But then, you know, there's the other side of the coin that says, you know, he did take Leonard Williams when we were in a contract debate with Muhammad Wilkerson. So is that going to happen with Quinnen Williams and Leonard Williams?
Right.
So I don't know. It's a coin flip for me.
This is my honest opinion on this. Is my honest take. So it's a double-edged sword here because, you know, Leo right now is getting double teamed because they're still running 3-4. So if you were to get Quinnen to go into the box, it would kind of help him out, and you know, it could honestly give him the benefit. It could really help him out his production, and it may help his career as well. And you never know. We're gonna have the Williams brothers there on the line, and then it could be dominant. Like you look at Quinnen Williams and what he's projected to look like, and it's ridiculous, like how highly recruited he is. So it's hard to pass on if he's on the board, but I think that the biggest thing to consider is the fact that we've been starving for a pass rusher position. You know, we just got our franchise quarterback, and it's important to get after the other quarterback on the other side of the field. So you know, I have a gut instinct that Nick Bosa may be an option at 3, because I think that since you know, the Niners pretty much have been they've been getting some plays on the defensive side of the ball, and I think Quinnen Williams fits their scheme a lot better. I wouldn't be surprised if Quinnen Williams isn't on the board. So I personally would love to see Quinnen Williams in the green and white come April, but you know what? I think we got to get after the edge rusher position. I think that's just better for us, and you can't pass on it this time, you know. And a lot of people are talking about trading down, and I just want to say, like, we lost for this pick, you know. Like, we lost for this. We had a bad season for this pick. Yeah. And although it can pretty much, you know, affect us in a much positive way, we can get that blue chip defender, you know. We can get him, and that could help us out. And this defense can look scary, you know. Mosley in the backfield, Avery Williamson, we got May if he's healthy, and then of course Jamal Adams, and then our corners as you talked about. And what do you think about Darron Lee? Should we get rid of him?
It's tough because he's in his 4th year right now, so it's the last year we have him under cheap control. I don't believe we're going to give him the 5th-year option, and I don't think any other team is going to want to trade for him if we give him the 5th-year option. So that being said, if he's not in our long-term plans, I'm fine with moving on from him, but he's only worth like $2 million this year, and I would love to try him out in the Anthony Barr type role that we think.
Oh, I heard you say that earlier. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, like he's fast. Why not try him as a pass rusher? I know he's a little bit smaller, but maybe there's some spark there. I don't know. If you can get a 3rd-round pick for him, you definitely pull the trigger. I think 4th-round pick, you know, is probably likely what we'd be offered. Maybe worse. I don't know. I don't think a lot of teams are real high on him. I heard there was a rumor about the Browns trading. Who was that player? There was a player that they had that there was like, oh, you know what? He hasn't really panned out for them well. Lee hasn't panned out for us well. So why not swap the players? See if a change of scenery makes sense for both of them. You know, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And how many wins are you thinking?
I think 8-8 is the baseline. Anything less than that, heads need to roll. Barring like injury, but I think 9-7, 10-6 is not outrageous. I think there is the possibility of sweeping the Bills. I think there's a possibility of sweeping the Dolphins. I think we can split with the Patriots, so that gives us 5 wins right there. We just have to win 5 more against the NFC East and the AFC North. and I think we can beat the I think we can beat the Ravens. I think we can beat the Steelers potentially. I think the Bengals are an easy win. I don't know. It'll be interesting because it really depends on if we can get after the pass rusher and how Sam Darnold develops. Is he going to hit that little bit of a wall because teams have now gotten tape on him? There's a lot.
Right.
There's a lot in play, but I think we can absolutely get 10-6. I think 9-7 is probably the highest percentage, slot I see us at, and I think 8-8 would just be like the bottom line that we would need to get.
Yeah, I got one question for you. So my birthday's coming up. I'm debating to get. I was waiting for the new Jersey State job April 4th, so I'm debating right now since we just acquired Bell, but I'm not sure. Should I go for Darnold or Bell?
So, I know Darnold's going to be with us long term. I don't know if Bell's going to be with us after 2 years or after 3. I think 3 years is probably the extent that we'll see him here for. I know his contract is fully or close to fully guaranteed for the next 2 years. So I think you're safe in that respect. But if I were getting a jersey, I got the Darnold jersey this year because it was his rookie year. It's the last year we'll have this kind of jersey. I was definitely debating on waiting for the new jersey to come out. I think my next jersey is going to be Jamal Adams. I think we're going to hold on to him for a long time. I think he's
that's sick.
That's the player I would aim for.
Right. Oh, that's nice. And one last question because I know you got to take some other callers. Thanks for staying with me. So what do you think? Like, are you concerned about the transition that Bell is going to have comparing to the all-pro offensive line that the Steelers have as opposed to ours? Like, we don't have those big names up front, and I know that he's a very patient back, and he can pretty much do anything. He's so versatile. Do you think that his production level is going to be reduced because he doesn't have that all-pro talent?
I do. I think there's going to be some type of hit there. I do think he's better than Crowell. I think he's better than any of the running backs we've had in any recent memory. But I think his value to Darnold is that safety valve in the passing game. If he can get us 75 receptions a year, that's incredible. We basically added a running back and a wide receiver to our team for what is way less than what people thought he was going to go for. A lot of people thought he was going for 15. He wanted 17 at one point. We got him for $13.5 million a year. I think offensive line is certainly an issue. They had a stud offensive line in, the Steelers, but I don't know. I think because he's so patient, he can hit the hole real fast, and he can also wait and kind of stand behind a lineman and see what opens up. He's different in that respect because he's more of a tactical runner. When you watch him, he kind of sets up the second person. So when he's behind the line of scrimmage, he's looking at that linebacker and he's trying to figure out, all right, if I sidestep a little bit this way and I shoot through this gap, I'm going to get through to the next level. And I think that's something special that you don't see in a lot of other running backs. I think a lot of times when they say, hey, you got to hit the spot between the guard and the center, that running back's going to run blindly into that, assuming there's going to be a hole there. And a lot of times they just run into the back of an offensive player. Bell, you don't really see that with. And it's kind of Curtis Martin-esque, where Martin was very patient, kind of ran laterally, and then would shoot straight forward once that hole opened up.
All right, man. Thank you so much for your time. That's some great insight.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate you calling.
I'm excited to see everything that's going to happen. I think it's going to be a pretty optimistic year for us. I think Mac used his money quite properly. I think we picked up some positions of needs. And, I think it's going to be a positive year for us.
I completely agree. Thanks for calling in, brother.
All right. Have fun.
That was a lot of good questions. I really liked that one. That was a good caller. Not that I didn't like all the other guys. You guys are fine, too. I'm shocked no one wants to talk about these new rules. I'm all fired up. I want to talk about the, onside kick rule and how that's going to change. What do you think is our best chance to get a legit top 15 wide receiver in the next couple seasons? Do you pay up for a guy like Mike Evans? I would trade for Mike Evans in a heartbeat. I would give up number 3 overall, no questions asked, for Mike Evans. I would have traded for Odell, but the Giants weren't going to trade Odell to the Jets. But either way, I don't think the Bucs are going to trade Evans either. I think he's on such a team-friendly contract, it doesn't make sense for them to move him. A top 15 wide receiver, though, I don't know if we necessarily need one. I think if you have that stud in Bell and you get a bunch of number 2s and surround Darnold with that, I think that is enough to win in this league. And I think Darnold's enough of a tactician where you would avoid the wide receiver diva-type mentality. And you also don't really see teams winning with high-priced wide receivers. I mean, Julio Jones is the closest one to have that potential ring. Other than that, you really don't see it. So I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily want a top 15 receiver. Maybe one on a rookie deal, but then that begs the question. After 4 or 5 years, do you pay him that close to $20 million that it's going to cost to get him? And I don't know if that's the right move to make. Mike Evans on their 5th pick for Darron Lee in our 3rd. No way. There's no way that would happen. They're not giving up Mike Evans and their 5th round pick. That's just stupid. That makes no sense. I know they would get our 3rd pick in that situation, but it makes no sense for them, in my opinion, unless they were to actually go, if they really don't want Jameis, which I think is, plausible. I think they may move on from him after this year. I think Arians is going to, see how it plays out. And if Winston signs somewhere else after that, then he gets a probably 3rd round pick. If someone didn't want to trade for him, I don't think anyone will. I think Winston's a little bit of an interesting case as far as quarterbacks go. I think he's just a moron. Dude has a bunch of talent, but is way too turnover prone, and I just don't think he's very smart. I've watched a little bit of him, especially when the Jets were, possibly not really tanking, but doing really poorly, and we wound up beating Tennessee, and then they wound up getting Mariota. I wanted Mariota that draft. Or Amari Cooper, or Sheriff. Those are all the guys that went just ahead of us. And I was like, God damn it, we're getting Leonard Williams. And, I'm fine with Leonard Williams. I like Leonard Williams a lot. I think he's a good player. But, man, I wanted one of those guys. Click message on Instagram. Kevin, what do you want? Let's see. Where's my... Oh, damn, I don't know where I put my phone. Oh, I got my phone right here. Let's see. I can answer a question from Instagram. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram, right up there. Follow me on Instagram. I like talking. Let's see. Open up the gram. Oh, man, I got 3 messages. Uh-oh. Oh, dude's picture with Jamal Adams. Is that you? I don't know who you are. Which one is it? Todd Bowles. Isn't it a beautiful sight? Man, I'm getting a bunch of things. What's this one? Ace of Vegas. Oh, I like it. The dog with the fighter jacket on. I'm a fan of that. That's cool. Make a great Jets mascot. I'm going to like that one. Let's answer this question before they hang up. Boom.
Call from.
Brett Davis.
Okay. I sent the caller's voicemail. Goodbye.
Oh. What? Why did you go to voicemail? Oh, no. I'm sorry, dude. I tried to answer your call. Oh, that's upsetting. I was looking forward to it. Oh. Man, this light gets hot. I got to get a diffuser or something. It's really cooking right now. Hold it up to the screen. I'll hold it up to the screen. Watch this. This is what this dude sent me. Boom. Let's see. We'll zoom in on it. Ooh. Hold on. Move back. So it's like his dog in a fighter jacket. Maybe if I turn it sideways, does it make it bigger? No, it doesn't work like that. I don't know. It's kind of cool, though. Look up Ace Vegas Hockey Hound. It's like a dog in a pilot's thing. Oh, there it goes. You can kind of see it. Kind of cool. Kind of neat. Hopefully you guys, saw that fully. Let's see. I'm going to look at the side stream. Yeah, I think it came in cool. All right, here we go.
Call from.
Mark.
Mark, what's up, dude? Welcome to the Cockpit.
How are you, buddy? We spoke last week.
Oh, awesome. Where were you calling from?
Long Island.
Okay, yeah.
I only have one name to say to you.
Okay.
Brett Cavalli. And I have one thing to say after that name.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
So I think it's because he can play multiple positions. I think he's a depth signing. He's not someone that's going to be, a starter on our offensive line. I think when you look at him and who's the other guy they brought in? They brought in someone from Minnesota.
Tom Compton.
Yeah, I think when you look at that tells me they're not sure if Shell is going to be ready for the start of the season. I think they're willing to admit defeat on Brian Winters possibly. I think they're willing to have that conversation with Jonathan Harrison and have competition at the offensive line and at that center position.
Right.
So I don't think he's a starter. I think he's more of depth, and we didn't pay a whole lot for him, so I'm not overly concerned. I like the devil you do know over the devil you don't know.
Yeah, well, wait. First of all, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. We signed, I think it's a 1-year deal. It wasn't a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, you remember the way he played last season and the season before then when he was in the games.
Yeah.
And have you seen what he's rated on PFF?
I'll pull it up right now. Let's see what it is.
I think he's rated like a 43.
Oof, that's not good. The rest of our offensive line isn't very good either. Hold on, I'll go over it real quick.
Pull him up.
Let's see. Oh, it says I'm not logged in. Oh, it's because I'm in Windows right now. I'm usually in Mac. Hold on, give me 1 second. I probably have to. I am not a robot. Let's see. Tools, player grades. What do we got? Jets and Jets. All right. So we've got. Oh, he's not even on our starter list. Okay, so according to our Pro Football Focus from this past year, Beecham was a 65.9, which is like that kind of light shade of green. And then everyone else is worse than that. Our next best would be Shell at 62.7. He's injured, so there's issues with that. Brian Winters was a 62.6, so literally a 0.1 difference. Harrison was a 54.1, not very good. And Asamili was the worst at 53.7, but he was hurt, so I give him a little bit of slack for that. Let me see.
I'm sorry. What did you say? What was Cavalli rated?
That's what I'm going to look up now. He's not on the. He's not on the like starting lineup as far as. You know, when you look at the matchup per, you know, whatever. Let me see. Oh, I don't know what he's listed as. He is a guard. Actually, let me just put him right.
I think he's a tackle.
Cavalli. Pro Football Focus. All right, here we go. Got it right here. 43.5. He was rated a 38.4 in run blocking and a pass blocking grade of 60.3. So definitely a depth signing.
He's a joke.
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, you can't expect him to start or give us any type of legitimate production as far as the offensive line help is concerned.
Right. Yeah, no, he's. I was hoping and praying that they would not bring him back, but of course, what do? They bring him back. So
I remember you talking about it last week. You said, "Oh, for the love of God, don't bring him back. We can't have this."
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, Cavalli's just. I can't stand it. Anyway, but look, This is the kind of crap that someone like me, you know, like we spoke. I don't know if you remember. I mean, I've been going to games since 1976. So, you know, these are the kind of moves that I'm altogether too familiar with over the years, you know?
Yeah, I think we got to get difference makers, and I think having Cavalli on the offensive line doesn't really solve anything. I do think there's a need for depth, and maybe he's just a camp body. I don't know how much of that contract is guaranteed, so maybe there's an option where we cut him if we get, you know, a third-round pick or... You know,
right. Well, I hate to be the negative with the negative vibes, but I'll be honest with you. I'm hoping he gets cut during training camp. But
I would love that because that means we got someone better.
Right. Exactly. But yeah, no. I just wanted to vent my feelings on this.
Yeah, no, I agree. Thank you for calling in, dude. I appreciate it. I love the.
Wait a minute. Before I hang up, so tell me, because I'm not familiar. You were talking about the new rule for the onside kick, or the new rules that they might implement. So tell me, what is that?
So the new rule, I love the onside kick rule. Have you watched any of the Alliance of American Football yet? That extra.
Yes.
So I love their onside kick rule. The offensive kicks, or the onside kicks for the NFL, I believe the success rate in 2017 was about 20% or 22%. And last year, due to the rule change where you were not allowed to have a 5 or 10 yard head start of running and you had to start on the same line as the kicker, the percentage rate dropped down to like 7 or 8%. So it's drastically lower, which means teams are not going to have an opportunity to try and come back at the late stages of games. So the idea is, I believe the AAF does a 4th and 12 scenario from the 28-yard line. I think the NFL would do a 4th and 15 scenario from the 35, which is where they kick off. So if you get the first down, you continue in that fashion, you know, as if it were a regular drive. If you fail at the 4th and 15, the other team gets the ball at that yard line. And the reasoning for this is, one is player safety. You're not having players collide at such a fast pace. They're running like, you know, a receiver is running in line with a cornerback, that sort of thing. And then it's also the excitement factor. Now, the questions they have with it are, when are you allowed to do it? Because there's restrictions in the AAF as far as when you can do it. I think it has to be the fourth quarter and down by 17 points. Because what happens if you open up Pandora's box? And I really like this. If you can do this whenever you want, like say the Jets go up and they're up by 2 points. And
Right.
Tom Brady's on the other side of the field and you're like, crap, we don't want to give him the ball. Do the Jets attempt this onside scenario with a 4th and 15 and try to keep the offense of the other team off the field? That is where I think there's a ton of excitement. I think there is a lot of value in that. Kickoffs have been absolutely terrible the last 8 years or whatever since they changed it. I am totally all for changing the rules. I know there's a lot of traditionalists that really don't like change and don't want to see like a sky ref or whatever. That's one of the things they're talking about too. Having the ability to challenge a flag that is thrown. But I think it's more than just the refs. I think they wanted to use some type of crowdsourcing AI and like a sky ref or something like that. But the onside kick rule is the one I think is the most exciting and I think could really generate a lot of excitement in the NFL.
Now, let me ask you something. In the AAF, do they? I can't remember. I mean, I've only watched, just a little bit of that.
Sure.
I really don't have much of a stomach for it.
Mm-hmm.
But do they kick the ball off?
They don't. You automatically get it from either the 20 or the 25-yard line. There's no kickoffs at all, which I really like. And so here's this. This is another rule I would love to see the NFL do, and I don't know if they're going to do it. It's the American Alliance of Football has this rule with the play clock. Instead of a 40-second play clock, it's a 35-second play clock. And not even just those 5 seconds. It's they start that play clock as soon as the previous play ends, not when the ball is spotted by the referee like the NFL does. So you're saving 15 seconds per play. And if you're saving about 15 seconds per play, you're going from a 4-hour game to a 3.5-hour game. And that's one of the things that they did a lot of analytics in and a lot of crowdsourcing for as far as trying to figure out what people's attention spans are. And they determined that that people don't want to watch a movie after 2.5 hours. So if you can have play a 2.5-hour game instead of a 3-hour game or whatever it is, that is the optimum time to have people sit and watch an entire game. And I love all the rules that they're putting in place to achieve that goal. I like that they don't have commercials. They have the side-by-side commercials where you're still tuned into the game, so you're still locked in. The only time they break away from a commercial is at the end of a quarter or at the end of the half. So I really like that. You don't get the commercial break at the end of like a touchdown or something.
Those rules. Like I said, I've watched a little bit of, and some of the things the AAF does, I think the NFL should definitely adopt some of those rules without a doubt. Hey, listen, one other thing I wanted to ask you.
Sure.
Because I'm trying to remember. Maybe you know, maybe you don't know. In '97, when the first year of Parcells' tenure.
Yeah.
Obviously, that the year before, with Cockpit that year, the Jets had gone 1-15.
Yep, the one win was in Arizona.
Right. I can't remember. Did we have the first pick in that draft, in the '97 draft?
We did, and Parcells said something.
And he traded down, right?
No. For the first year of Parcells, no, we took Keyshawn Johnson. We went 1-15, took Keyshawn Johnson, number 1 overall. We were going to take Peyton Manning, but for some reason, and I don't remember what it was, if it was Parcells or someone said something to Peyton, and Peyton decided to go back to, was it Tennessee, I think is where he went.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Parcells drafted? No.
I'm almost positive. Let me, hold on. Now I got to look it up because I'm almost
positive.
Yeah,
no. Cockpit drafted Keyshawn.
Hold on. I got to pull it
out. The first pick Parcells ever made with the Jets was he took James Farrier.
Oh, you know what? Was our first overall pick in 1996? Was that it?
Yeah, that was the Keyshawn pick.
So
the 97 pick was James Farrier, but I'm trying to remember.
Oh, you're right, motherfucker. Okay, hold on. Let me see. So what happened?
See, if you ever want Jets history, I'm the man to ask.
That's anyway. It. Man, you're right, because Keyshawn really ticked off Parcells, but I'm almost positive the Jets. So, what happened then?
Right. Right. My
because
question
Peyton Manning
is,
went back.
did we have that first number 1 pick, or did we? I think Parcells traded it down.
I don't think we would have had the top overall. 1996 NFL draft.
Why wouldn't we? That's the year. Why wouldn't we have the number 1? Because we were 1-15. We had the worst record in football that year.
So let me see. That was the 97 draft. So that was 1996 Jets season. Man, okay. Now you got me questioning everything. So we went. They failed to improve upon the worst record. 13-3 from 1995. They finished 1-15. Worst franchise. That was 96. I'm so confused. Man, now I don't know. I don't think.
Yeah, 97 was Parcells' first year.
You're right. No, you're right. I'm looking at this. Okay, so we traded it gave it to the Rams, and the Rams took Orlando Pace.
That's it. Okay.
That's what it was. Because so the Jets had the first pick when they took Keyshawn, and Peyton Manning went back to school. But wait, wasn't?
No. That happened the following year. The reason why I'm asking this.
That's what it was.
Is because I just recently, and if you haven't read, have you ever read, or do you know of the book that Parcells put out a few years ago? It's called Bill Parcells' A Football Life.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've heard Michael Kay talk about it, and a little bit on those guys' shows. I've never actually read it though.
Okay, I highly recommend it, especially if you like to me, Parcells is obviously the best Jets coach of all time. Mm-hmm. But he talks in that book. He talks about, like, I read it a couple of years ago. That's why I was trying to remember. Mm-hmm. He talks about in the book. He talks about that trade, or not the trade. He talks about that draft, and he talks about Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
And he talks about that Archie, Peyton's father, called him up.
Yep.
Because at that time, the Jets had the first pick.
Yes.
So he said, with the first pick, are you thinking about taking my son? Mm-hmm. And supposedly Parcells told him, I don't want to take your son. And the main reason being is supposedly Parcells had 7 points.
Yes.
Of taking a quarterback.
Did you watch my Baker Mayfield video? I hit that because Baker Mayfield hit all 7 of Parcells' 7 things.
Oh, did you? No, I never saw that. That's interesting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, that's a huge thing, and it was he needs to be a senior, 4-year starter. It was like all these different needs to have over a 67% completion percentage or something like that. It was like went down the entire list. And
yes, absolutely.
I don't know what Peyton hit as far as those categories go, but I know Baker hit all of them, and he was the only quarterback in last year's draft that actually hit all those points.
Right. But I think what it basically was saying was that if Parcells would have kept that first pick and wanted Manning, that Manning would have came out that year. That's basically what he was trying to say in the book. And that basically he told Archie, I'm not taking your kid.
That pisses me off so much, especially because Parcells was a mercenary. When he signed with the Jets, it was very much a 3-year, let's try to win a ring now. That's why he signed Curtis Martin and traded for him, and it was an absurd contract. When you look at what Curtis Martin was paid, and even going back to, I think it was 2002 when we gave him an extension, the Jets sort of forced him or talked him into not retiring in 2005 when his last actual official carry was, and waited until 2007 because the cap hits would have accelerated all to that first year, and it would have hurt the Jets, a lot. So
right.
They actually,
sure.
It was weird. That the whole Curtis Martin thing, I love Curtis a lot. He's one of my favorite Jets, but Parcells definitely tried to go for the now and not for the future, which maybe he would have taken Peyton had he been more in the long-term future of the Jets as opposed to the 3-year window.
Right, absolutely. Well, and also look, one of the things that I also admire, that's one of the things I very much admire about what Parcells did when he first came. Well, he didn't get Curtis until '98.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, 98. He was still on the Patriots in 97. But the other major part of what he did, putting together that team, was also in '98. Do you remember who was the first person he signed? Do you remember as a free agent?
98, first free agent he would have signed. I don't know.
And I mean,
It
he
would
did
have
it
been a lineman,
immediately.
maybe? Offensive line, is that where he went?
Yeah, Kevin Mawai.
Oh, okay, yeah. Was he on? We traded for him from, or did he get signed as a free agent? He was a.
Well, wait a minute. Did we trade, or was he? I thought he was a free agent.
He could have. He could have been.
He was playing for Seattle.
That's who it was. I knew he was on a different team prior to the Jets. So yeah, it was probably a free agent, and he understood the need to have that strong offensive line, and I think you saw that with Mangini when Mangini took DeBrickashaw Ferguson and Nick Mangold. And
oh yeah, absolutely. Look, to me, the Jets haven't really had lately. I'm saying they haven't had a really offense. The last good offensive lines the Jets had, in my opinion, is 2009 line and the 2010.
Correct.
After that they started, they started subtracting players and whatever.
Yeah, what was that? I think was that the last year we had Farrier too, and I think Farrier last year might have been in, or not. I'm thinking Farrier. I'm thinking Faneca. I think Faneca's last year.
Yeah, Faneca. They let him leave after 2009.
Yeah, and
then we replaced him with Matt Slauson.
Yeah, and now Slauson. Well, I know he was on the Bears doing pretty well. I don't know where
he retired. He retired about a week ago.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Yeah, man.
Yeah, he retired. Yeah, he retired.
We got him for a relatively cheap pick, I think, as far as when we drafted him, and then all of a sudden he leaves and does well elsewhere, and then we have a terrible offensive line.
But now this is the question, though, because I'm trying to remember that 2009 line.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Brickashaw, Faneca, Mawai. Who was the right guard?
Mangold was the center. Was it Damian Woody as the right guard?
No. Damian Woody was the right tackle.
All right, let me see. I'll look it up. 2009. Who else would it have been? What? Let's see. Offensive lineman. Faneca, DeBrickashaw, Mangold, Brandon Moore.
Oh, Brandon Moore. Okay.
Brandon Moore,
the butt fumble boy.
Oh, we can't get away from it. It was retired as the worst play in ESPN history. That's so sad. That's what we're known for.
Tell me about it, man. Tell me about it. But all right, let me go. And it was good talking to you. You going to be doing this every Monday?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm going to keep this up. I work in the golf industry, and it turns out that that Mondays work out well for me because we have a league that goes out, and I don't handle that. I let one of my other guys deal with that, so I can kind of be free on Mondays. So I think I'm going to continue doing this, and I want to continue it into the season because maybe we can talk some football while the Monday night game's on, recap the Sunday before. We'll see. I might change it up a little bit, but I definitely want to do a consistent live stream. I have a lot of fun with this.
Yeah, that'd be great. I really, I love the call-in thing. I'm sure you're familiar with, I know he doesn't do the Jets, he does the Giants, but the entertainer, Chris?
Yeah, I've been talking with him. He's the reason why I started doing call-ins, partially, because I watched one of his, and then I was on the Jets subreddit and things like that, and people were asking about a live stream, and I was like, you know what, no one's done this right yet for the Jets, so I'll be the first. Why not? And
it's great that you did that because I was listening to him. I've called him on a couple of occasions, but the second I saw that you were doing it, I was totally psyched for it.
Yeah, I'm pumped. Him and I were talking. We're probably going to do I want to eventually. What I wanted to turn this live stream into was a debate between me and another YouTuber of another team and just have a discussion to try and get more knowledge from that other team. And the Giants was the first one I wanted to kind of do, and I reached out to him. We want to do some type of collaboration. I don't know if it's going to be a live call-in show or if it's going to be just us talking and maybe answering some questions from the comment box, but it's definitely on our radar for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I hope you guys wind up doing a call-in show because to me, I'm never in the chats. I'm like never in there.
It's fun. It's cool hearing from different people. I got people from Long Island. There was a dude in the chat from Brazil. We had the UK, Texas, North Carolina, Tennessee, all these different places. And it's really
well, you know what it is? I'll be honest with you. I mean, your chat seems to be a little more I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? More on the mature side.
Agreed.
The people that are in there are usually more on the mature side. And like I said, I'll go into the entertainers live thing, and the chat room is usually filled with like 10-year-old kids, and they're all they're doing is yelling bitch and bitch and bitch this, bitch that, and I'm gonna kill you. And, you know,
yeah, no, that's
like
you can't have that.
It's not for me, you know.
I've been lucky. The demographic, according to YouTube, that I attract the most of is the 17 to 25 range is, I believe, like 25% of my audience, and then I think the 26 to 35-year-old range is like 36%. So it's a more mature range. I don't really have many fans in the under 20 or under the 17 age range. It's basically all like 17 and up, and it goes all the way up to, I think I had a dude call that was like close to 70 last week. It was like, you know, I was pretty surprised that he actually like was watching YouTube. I was like, okay, cool.
At least now I know. I thought I was like one of the elder statesmen on most of these channels, but
no, we get some people from all walks of life, and it's pretty cool to see how people, you know, stumble across the channel, and it's only going to grow more. It's cool. I think I have like 82 videos or 83 videos or something like that, and we now have just over 3,000 subscribers, and that gets me excited because I see other channels that have like 400 or 500 videos, and they have about, you know, 4,000 or 5,000, you know, subscribers. So if I put out 120 videos over the course of the next, or well, you know, 40 more videos over the course of the next however long, I want to be at 5,000 subscribers by the start of the next football season.
Oh, you will be. You will be. You know, just real quick. I know I'm keeping you.
That's all right.
Just real quick. When we talk about these things, like, I mean, I don't like to put anybody down. I like to keep it on an even keel.
Sure.
But like when you talk about subscribers and people joining and this and that, and people that people enjoy watching and don't like. Also, you know, I've been checking out a lot of the other Giant guys. I like that guy, Bad Dog. I think he's very good.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him yet,
the one guy that definitely does not float my boat, he actually sinks my boat.
Oh, yeah?
Is this, what's his name, Copizzle?
Oh, I don't know if I know who that is.
Yeah, he's a Giant fan. He's not a New Yorker. He's not from the Tri-State. I think he lives in like Tennessee or something like that. But what I'm getting at is this: puts on. He thinks he's or he must have been a very big fan of Jimmy Hart, the Mouth of the South from the WWE.
Yeah.
Because that's what he puts on that shtick. He acts like a wrestling manager, you know.
Oh yeah, that would.
But you know, but what I'm getting at is this: when you look at about him, he's been on YouTube since like I think 2006.
Yeah, he's got 213 videos. I'm looking at right now. 213 videos. He's 7 subscribers short of 5,000. I am going to. No, I don't want to put him down, but I'm going to steamroll over him.
Yeah, right. No, you should. But what I'm saying is he's been on YouTube for going on 13 years, and he's like been stuck in limbo. I can't believe you. Like what's his name? Jet Central's been on for what, about 2 or 3 years, and he's got like 9,000 subscribers.
I love Jet Central. Ian's a good dude. I like him, and I kind of have different channels because he responds to stuff immediately. I tend to I want to work with the editing a little bit. I want to make sure I have a little more facts before I put out a video. I like when he's putting out a video and like the contract drops and all of a sudden he's like, oh man, well, look at that. So he's really good on camera, and I like him.
Yeah, no, he's terrific. But have you ever actually watched that guy Copizzle or no?
No, I never have. I pulled up his YouTube channel, so I'm looking at it right now. I'll have to watch a little bit of it, but just looking at his face makes me want to punch someone.
Okay, wait till you watch it. Then you're going to want to commit a homicide.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But anyway, all right, buddy, let me go and have a great one. I would imagine I'll probably give you a buzz in, a week.
That's awesome, dude. Thank you for calling in. I appreciate the continued support.
You got it. Bye-bye.
All right, guys, it is that time. I had a lot of fun with you, but I think it is time to call it a night. Oh, man, I'm all fogging up. I got all this fog on my glasses. Here next Monday at 8 o'clock. Call in, talk, hang out, have a beer with me. I love you guys.